Chapter 1143. The sound of the waves crashing on the beach was monotonous and constant. All kinds of seabirds were still flying tirelessly in the sky above the port. Ships of goods from overseas were moved back and forth, and then sent to various places. The fishermen who raised fish near the shore paddled out to have a look every day. When they saw dead fish and shrimps, they immediately went to the local medical center nervously and described the tragic situation of the dead fish and shrimps to the professional. It was not until the person in charge of the farming showed an impatient look that the fisherman presented the dead fish and shrimps to him. They watched as the person cut the fish and shrimps into pieces and put them under strange objects to look at. Only then did they feel a little relieved. The big fishing boats in the distant sea were docked at the shore specially provided for them. The fish that had been gutted and salted were placed on the ground at the port at the fastest speed to be sorted. The rotten fish were picked out and put aside to wait for further processing. The fish that were not salted enough were salted again. Then, they were exposed to the sun or taken to a special ventilated room to be dried in the shade. Amidst the fishy smell, the dried salted fish and shrimps were sent to the distribution center and sent to the places where fish and salt were scarce in Tang. As for whether they were steamed or fried, it was not the fishermen's concern. The railway at the cargo port had been laid. After the great improvement in efficiency, some of the dock porters lost their jobs. They would go to the vocational school in the state capital to learn new survival skills. For 100 days, they would receive an additional government subsidy that was almost the same as the porter's job. After that, they would be assigned to a designated position by the government. Within a month, if they still could not adapt to the new job, they would be sent back to the school to study again. The subsidy for 3 months would be reduced by half. At the same time, the official who arranged for them to study specific technical subjects would resign. Su Mingyang, the provincial governor of Luzhou, who caused all the karma, was still working at the port as his scribe, recording the number of working people. Occasionally he would chat with the locals. The sea breeze and the sun left the traces of time on his face. His skin was no longer fair, but it made him feel stronger. Compared to the days before, he felt that his life now was much more fulfilling. It was unknown when Su Mingyang had become passionate about writing down the days. He wrote down his daily losses, gains, and sentiments on paper. No matter how busy he was during the day, he would never get tired of it when he returned to the Fu at night. There was a period of time when he thought that he was noble, and he even said the same to his wife and concubines. It wasn't until one day, when he was on holiday and drank too much wine. After strolling around his wives and concubines and other women, he finally expressed his motivation to write about the days. Xiaobei promised him that she was willing to print what he wrote into a book. She had even thought of the book's title. It would be called The Spring and Autumn of a Provincial Governor's Heart. As for why it wasn't the winter and summer of a provincial governor's heart, it was because when he asked, Xiao Yuan said that history didn't have winter, summer, or warring states. There was only spring and autumn. Damn, Governor Su was cursing in his heart. He thought that Sun Emo was writing about the 4 seasons. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have asked. He would have been looked down upon by Sun Emo. What comforted his heart was that Xiaobei promised to first print 200,000 copies. He would sell each copy to the Tang officials and give him 200 copper coins. That was 40,000 strings of coins. If he didn't commit corruption or take bribes, it would be difficult to earn this amount of money just by being an official. If he could commit corruption and take bribes, then forget it. It was too dangerous. Xiaobei said that he would first sell 20,000 copies of his book to the military officer in Xuanzhou. Because he was too rich, he actually threw away countless food at a banquet. At that moment, Su Mingyang's heart was balanced. He was very grateful to the unborn children of the Zhang family and Wang family. If they didn't exist, perhaps the Tang patrol's knife would have fallen on his head. Now he had a chance to change. For the military officer in Xuanzhou, if he didn't get the news in advance, and ask for leave to come, and ask for punishment, when the 4 little guys came to the mortal world, it would be the beginning of his hell. Number 9. Stop. Slowly put down the box you are carrying. Find someone to carry it with you. If I find that you are carrying more things, I will deduct your wages for today. Su Mingyang, who was thinking about what to write at night, was awakened by the actions of a stevedore at the exit in front of him. He raised his eyelids and said with an awkward smile, "It's not heavy." Number 9 put down the box as he was told. He wiped the sweat on his forehead and replied with a silly smile, "If it's not heavy, then why are your legs shaking? Do you think this official is illiterate? The words on the box say 1 box of ores needs to be inspected overseas. It seems that you are not satisfied with the life in the night school. It's my fault. After a month, I will personally test you on the first 150 words of the children's initiation. If you can't write 1 word, come to my house after work. I will personally teach you. Stay away from me, you perverted dog." Governor Su, who was talking to the stevedore number 9, raised his foot and kicked away a male dog that used his leg as an outlet for physiological needs. He then continued to talk to No. 9. "It's settled. Whose dog is this?" "Sir, it's a rescue dog," Number 9 said with a sad face. Obviously, he didn't want to learn. "Have it change positions. The people in the water, who need to be saved, can't wait for it to finish shaking. When it snows, it'll be killed and eaten. It's very nutritious." Su Mingyang glared at the dog and said, "Snowing? Fine, sir. You are so kind. Stupid dog, you still dare to come over. Be careful. I'll send you to the north of the Yellow River. It really snows there." Number 9 cursed at the shameless dog. He then called another stevedore to pick up the box and leave. Weiwei Su Mingyang shook his head and continued to record the work of the stevedore. As for that dog, he admitted that his family's chef had never made dog meat that wasn't disgusting. Perhaps it can be given to Zhang Xiaobao. He has done research on this. Su Mingyang's thoughts flew again, and he muttered to himself, "Thank you for the compliment. I can indeed make dog meat very delicious, but I don't like to eat dog meat. The process and seasoning are too much. As long as there are other things, I will try my best not to eat dog." "Sir Su, are you used to life at the docks?" Su Mingyang had just finished muttering when a strange yet familiar voice rang out behind him. It was strange because this voice didn't often appear by his ear. It was familiar because even if this voice appeared once, he would firmly remember it because it belonged to Zhang Xiaobao, a person who killed without spilling blood. Lord Zhang." Su Mingyang turned his head and said with a trembling voice, Don't call me that. I'm not my adoptive father. Some people call me Master Gao. I'm just the regional governor of the Bohai Commander-in-Chief's office. We're both third-rank officials, so there's no need to distinguish between high and low." Zhang Xiaobao, who had brought Wang Wan here for a stroll, said sincerely. However, his words always sounded very hypocritical in the ears of others. Su Mingyang was one of those who felt hypocritical. He stood up and tried his best to make his smile more natural. He nodded at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan respectively and said, "I wonder what brings you here to the docks, Deputy Governor Zhang and Deputy Governor Wang?" As soon as the words left his mouth, Su Mingyang regretted it. He shouldn't have said that. Could it be that they couldn't come to the docks? The docks didn't belong to the provincial governor of Luzhou. Moreover, he always felt that he didn't have the right to be the provincial governor, even though the official seal and documents clearly stated that he was the provincial governor of Luzhou. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan smiled at the same time and didn't take it seriously. Zhang Xiaobao said, "Actually, it's nothing serious." A group of grandpas in the nursing home said that the weather hasn't been good recently. It seems like there's going to be a strong sea breeze. It should be a hurricane. "Ha! Lord Zhang, don't scare me." Su Mingyang felt a tug in his chest. He clutched his heart and shouted, "What are you talking about? I'm just mentioning it. When you weren't the provincial governor, Luzhou had several hurricanes. It was just that the rain was heavier, some houses collapsed, and a few rows of trees fell. Calm down. Compared to those times, the hurricanes now are nothing. We're just here to tell you in advance. Don't wait for the wind to blow and panic instead of other people." Zhang Xiaobao patted Su Mingyang's shoulder and comforted him. Su Mingyang slowly calmed down. When he thought about Luzhou's roads and the layout of the houses, he realized that he was not afraid of any hurricanes. The roads were as wide as a square, and there was a sewer built with limestone. It was more than 10 feet wide, and as tall as a person. He didn't even know how many there were. The highest house was only 3 stories high, and was built with bamboo. Once the people evacuated, they could just wait for the wind to blow away and come back. With the support of the Zhang family and Wang family, the losses were nothing. They could just rebuild the damaged boats at the docks. That's good, that's good. I wonder if the titled madams have made the arrangements. My family can just pack up and leave. Su Mingyang, who had calmed down, did not forget to show concern for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's mother. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. It's all done. In fact, I hate the current situation very much. We can't see any signs of the hurricanes, so we can only judge based on experience. If it was in the past, the hurricanes would be gone. If it was sunny, it would be sunny. And if it was raining, it would be pouring. Now we can't do anything. As he spoke, Zhang Xiaobao glanced at Wang Wan. Wang Wan nodded. Then, both of them looked up at the sky. At that time, they could indeed do this. The hurricanes could be eliminated the same way they were formed. It was nothing more than the airflow caused by magnetic fields and cold and heat. Without rain, clouds could be artificially formed. Black clouds could also be artificially dispersed. Everything depended on whether it was cost-effective or not. Other than human lives, if the losses caused by the weather were less than the amount of money that could be interfered with, they could let it wreak havoc. If it was more expensive, they could stop it. If they had money and wanted to play around, they could create their own hurricanes. The premise was that they did not hurt others. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan both wanted to know if hurricanes would form, and where they would end up. However, they could not fulfill such a simple request. There were no satellites. However, Su Mingyang did not understand the two of them. When he heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, he thought of the immortals. At that time, he thought of the two of them as immortals. So he said in a trembling voice, I will do my best to ensure the safety of the local people. You don't need to guarantee the safety of the local people. Cuckoo and I are here. I want to ask you, do you know Japanese? In 2 days, a lot of Japanese will come. Then, Japan needs people from the Tang Empire to go over. Cuckoo and I can't leave. And we can't send all the people in my family who can speak Japanese to take care of things. Otherwise, wouldn't Japan become my home? Can you understand? Zhang Xiaobao finally said what he and Wang Wan wanted to talk to Su Mingyang about. Perhaps because Zhang Xiaobao's words were too sudden, Su Mingyang did not react for a moment. It was not until another ship approached the dock with a horn that he woke up and asked, You want me to go to Japan? Chapter 1144. There was a look of reluctance in Su Mingyang's eyes. He really didn't want to leave his hometown and go to a foreign place. After today's matter, with the money for publishing the book and the reward of being the provincial governor of Luzhou, he had a great chance to enter the capital and find a place for himself in front of Hanyuan Palace. I know you want to go to the capital and be closer to His Majesty, but you don't know that the capital is actually not fun at all. Otherwise, His Majesty wouldn't always want to come out and travel. Look at me and Cuckoo. We never planned to stay in the capital for long, especially running to the palace to work. Have you noticed? Zhang Xiaobao looked at Su Mingyang's expression and knew what he was thinking about, so he persuaded him softly. Su Mingyang lowered his head and muttered in a low voice, It's the same wherever you are. Who dares to not listen to you? You transfer the army here and there like a game. How can I compare? If I transfer the army today, I'll lose my head tomorrow. Why are you so stubborn? Do you have to sharpen your head to attend the morning court? You are now a third-grade official. When you enter the capital, will you be given a third-grade official position? You have no real power, do you understand? Zhang Xiaobao continued to persuade him. Wang Wan also chimed in. Isn't that so? The capital is deep, and it's not easy to survive. When you see me transfer the army, why don't you see who I am in front of? I have to explain every step of the army to His Majesty first. Even my guards can't be transferred at will. If you are a provincial governor outside, you are a local high official. For example, if you are in Luzhou and someone really wants to threaten your life, Luzhou's soldiers and people will never allow it, unless you always slander some titled lady. If you are in Guangzhou, Quanzhou, or other places, the whole place will tremble with your words. In the capital, today the prince, tomorrow the prince, oh tomorrow the prince. Oh the prince, will you do what he asks you to do? If you do, you will collude with the inner court. If you don't, you will wait for revenge. If you really enter the capital, you will find that there are suddenly mountains above your head, pressing down on you until you can't breathe. Not to mention a third-grade official. You are even worse than a seventh-grade dog. A fifth-grade official is enough. Didn't your family encounter the same thing? Why can't I? Su Mingyang stubbornly refuted in a low voice. Rank 5? Your request is also, oh, other than the censorate and internal officials, a fifth-rank official can attend court, right? If I ask you to go up, who do you dare to talk to? At this moment, you can sit at the same table and eat with His Majesty. When you enter the capital, you can only see an inch-tall figure. There are millions of officials in the world, but His Majesty won't remember who you are. Then there's what you said about my family. Yes, we've been encountering similar situations ever since we were young. It's as if anyone can bully us. Every day, other than thinking about how to strengthen the family, we also have to split up to deal with it. We have to pretend to be more obedient than Xiaobei and the rest. We have to act like fools when others are scheming against us. We have to act like we don't know anything. My family has always earned a cent, given a cent, and kept a cent to appease resentment. Even now it's still the same. Do you have the financial resources? Do you have that kind of talent? If there really was, you wouldn't have been bullied so badly by Xiaobei and the others. What are you still talking about? Zhang Xiaobao was evoked by Su Mingyang's words. Step by step, there were too many times when he couldn't control himself. After speaking, Zhang Xiaobao patted Su Mingyang's shoulder and said, in the sky full of thorns, an eagle that still soars definitely not only needs a pair of strong wings, but also the arrogance and wisdom of survival. I've seen your ability, and I know who your backer is, but going to the capital is not the best way out for you. I admire your forbearance, so go to Japan. I'll let you be the leader. In the future, your words there will be more effective than in Hanyuan Palace Hall. Su Mingyang listened to Zhang Xiaobao's words. He still didn't want to go to Japan, but he was very convinced of the history of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family. At least he knew that he couldn't do it, but he felt a burst of fear in his heart about the unfamiliar land of Japan. So Su Mingyang forced himself to calm down when he had to make a choice. He said to Zhang Xiaobao, there has never been a precedent of a Tang official being an official in Japan. I know a little Japanese, but I know nothing about Japan. There is no soil for Tang officials to survive there. Then entering the capital is also a waste. Xiaobei's voice suddenly sounded behind Su Mingyang. When he turned around, he said, you wait for others to pave the road for you before you take your construction team. What's the use of your construction team? Xiao Yuan also immediately echoed. That's right, it's the same as the story of selling shoes that brother told. It said that there were two people who went to a place where they didn't wear anything. So pessimistic people will never be able to sing happy songs. How can a person with a mouth full of bitterness understand the elegance of other tastes? Xiao Yuan told the story of selling shoes and summarized it. According to this, I really should go to Japan? Go there to be an official? But what do I do first when I get there? Su Mingyang had already begun to pay attention to technical issues. Coincidentally, I have a proposal here. I'll let you take a look at it first. Zhang Xiaobao took out a thick paper from his arms and handed it to Su Mingyang. Looking at his still full chest, who knows how much paper there is inside? The only thing Su Mingyang knew was that he had been trapped. Obviously, the other party had already prepared everything. He could only take the paper and run to a secluded place to read it. He was very clear that if he didn't agree, he probably wouldn't be able to go to Hanyuan Palace Hall. Although Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were unwilling to go, it didn't mean that they didn't have the ability to influence someone's position in that place. Right now there's nothing to do. I'll take you to play. Look at the fish caught by the fishing boats from the deep sea. Be mentally prepared. Don't be smelly. Zhang Xiaobao handed over the proposal and turned around to speak to his younger siblings. He lifted his foot and walked towards the faraway fishing ground. He didn't ask, why did you come here? Like other adults would to their children. Nor did he scold, who told you to come here? Obviously there was no need. If he really said such words, other than letting others feel the authority of an older brother, and causing Xiaobei and the others to feel uncomfortable, it wouldn't have any other effect. Children weren't criminals. Why should he let them experience the fear of criminals? They weren't unforgivable bad guys who wanted to destroy world peace. If they really had that ability, he definitely wouldn't be the savior of the world. They came over just to let him take them to play. If he didn't think that their appearance would interfere with his wise decision, then he should play with them. Zhang Xiaobao was obviously not the kind of older brother who would push all the blame onto his younger siblings. Therefore, when he saw that there wasn't much to do, he decided to take his younger siblings to play elsewhere. Even if the stench was strong, at least he had personally experienced it. Have you finished your homework? Wang Wan asked habitually. She regretted it as soon as she asked, and looked at Zhang Xiaobao apologetically. Xiaobei shook his head vigorously. No, we discussed it, and unanimously decided to do it at night. It's a little boring today, so we came out to play first. If you haven't done it, you don't have to do it at night. Today's topic has been changed. It's changed to what you'll see in a while. It'll ask you why you still insist on doing it, and what you can do with the things you throw away. If you get a prize, you'll get a prize, Zhang Xiaobao said and swung his arms exaggeratedly as he walked. Xiaobei and the other children also learned to walk with large strides. The trouble of doing homework at night didn't exist anymore. The sky seemed to be bluer and less boring. Wang Wan leaned over and whispered in Zhang Xiaobao's ear. You're spoiling them. It's easy to cause them to be disobedient in the future. My mother used to say that, but were they really disobedient? In fact, many people weren't suitable for having children. People in their 20s had children, and then didn't put in the effort they should have. To be precise, they couldn't bear the responsibility. Many parents hoped that their children would be obedient and well-behaved. Before their children went to kindergarten, they would play with them like toys. After their children went to kindergarten, they would tell their children to listen to the teacher every day. It seemed that children who sat on the bench and listened to the teacher without moving were good children. They would do whatever they were told to do, and they would absolutely not do what they were told to do. That was right. Teachers also hoped that this was the case. According to a fallacy, there was only one teacher and many students. The teacher couldn't adapt to every student, so the students had to find a way to adapt to the teacher. Listen to the teacher at school, and listen to the parents at home. This was the education of your country. In fact, the real education of our nation was definitely not like this. It was education without discrimination, teaching to solve problems, dealing with people and moral cultivation. If the child was not taught well, it was the fault of the father, and if the child was not taught well, it was the laziness of the teacher. The strict teaching of the father, and the teacher was definitely not to make the child obedient like a puppet. Many people gave their children to their parents after they had children. This itself was a disrespect to life. If you can't teach your own children well, what else can you do? If you weren't prepared to give up everything for your children, why would you want them? Zhang Xiaobao also whispered to Wang Wan, but what he said could shock many families. If it were the Middle Ages in Europe, he should have been burned in the Square of Flowers, just like Bruno, who agreed with the Copernican theory, who asked him to say that the Earth revolved around the sun. He wanted to prove this truth, but in the end, he violated the interests of too many people. Wang Wan naturally didn't have the ability to burn Zhang Xiaobao, and she also couldn't bear to. She said with a smile, "You are too radical. How can it be your country and our nation? Nonsense." "I'm not talking nonsense. I have many nationalities, so it's your country. I only have one root, so it's our nation. You think I'm radical because others are too mediocre. You've seen many people keep pets, haven't you? And they let their pets call them dad or mom. This is a manifestation of human control, especially the old people who don't have their children around. If you observe carefully, you will find that the way they educate their pets is no different from the way they educate their children. Some boys and girls who don't have children also keep pets, mostly dogs. If you ask them, they will definitely say that this is love or something. In fact, the essence is absolutely not, but they want their pets to listen to them. When they raise pets and children with infinite selfish thoughts, They don't deserve to have the sacred halo called love of life. They are garbage, a group of self-righteous garbage. Zhang Xiaobao became angrier as he spoke. Xiaobao, husband, do you want to deprive everyone of the right to have their own ideas? Do you want to treat what you say as the truth? If others don't treat their pets and children in the way you say, are they criminals under your God's grace? I know you were an orphan in the past, but this can't be an excuse or reason for you to criticize others. Don't those parents who you said raised their children like dogs choose to give up their own lives to protect their children when they have to make a choice? If you insist on what you say, please ask others to insist on what they say. Also, how can you scold people? That's not right. Wang Wan could have agreed with Zhang Xiaobao's words, but out of respect for Zhang Xiaobao, she still said her own thoughts, even if her words might make Zhang Xiaobao unhappy. Motherfucker, what's this smell? It smells so bad. Under Xiao Bei's signal, Xiao Yuan said while smelling the stench. Zhang Xiaobao, who was whispering to Wang Wan, turned around and patted Xiao Yuan's head, saying, "You think the smell is bad, so do you want others to do the same? Also, how can you scold people? That's not right. Come Xiao Yuan, come to sister's side. Your brother is now playing a game of slapping his own face." The words he said just now were completely reflected in his attitude towards you. Wang Wan smiled as she pulled Xiao Yuan over, and said to Zhang Xiaobao while rolling her eyes. The group of children inexplicably looked back and forth between their brother and sister's faces. Chapter 1145. As an orphan, Zhang Xiaobao had always harbored a strong resentment towards his parents. It was not only towards his own parents, but also towards other people's parents. The thing he hated the most was seeing parents beating their children. At the same time, he also envied the children who were being coaxed. This was something that had been ingrained in one's soul since young, and it was very difficult to get rid of. Fortunately, he had parents now, and his family was very harmonious. Therefore, after venting for a while, he returned to his original self. He said to Xiao Yuan, "Just now, I was discussing the issue of world peace with your sister. Many things that lead to the destruction of countries start from scolding people." Really? Xiao Yuan did not believe him. It's fake. It's wrong to scold people when you don't have the strength. If you have the strength, you can scold as much as you want. Let's go. I'll show you how smelly fish and rotten prawns can become delicious. Zhang Xiaobao pulled Xiao Bei with one hand and Xiao Yuan with the other, and walked in the direction of the fishy smell. Wang Wan could only pull Pan Air and her sister. The two little guys had short legs and short arms. They stretched out their arms and legs, and although their height and pace were clearly unreasonable, it made people feel that they were very harmonious when looking at them. The children were not tired at all, and would even occasionally run in front of the adults. As the smell got stronger, they got closer and closer to the place where the dried seafood was made. The smell that made people feel uncomfortable at the beginning became addictive after smelling it for a while. It doesn't feel that bad anymore. I'm a little hungry. Xiao Yuan swallowed her saliva and looked up at her brother. Yeah, why? Xiao Bei had the same feeling. It means that you still have some instincts and are not completely affected by habits. When making salted fish and prawns, other than salt, there are also fish and prawns that are fished out from the sea. Because the technology of long-distance fishing boats is still lacking, the initial processing can't keep up, and some fish and prawns will spoil. The fishy smell you smell is from the protein. When it's in the rotten or half-rotten stage, it's easier for animals to absorb it when they eat it. People with good lives can choose to eat things that are not rotten. After getting used to it, the body will no longer be immune to it, and it will be easy to get sick. Many animals do not have this condition and continue to eat rotten food. However, there is still a part of human nature that is inclined towards survival. Therefore, there is a desire to consume certain proteins and phospholipids. For example, stinky tofu. If it is not too salty when it is made, any baby a few months old will like to eat it, because it is necessary for survival. Zhang Xiaobao was in a good mood at the moment, so he explained to his younger siblings. But I think children like sweets more. Behind him, Little Hai spoke up. Yes, they prefer to eat candy because it takes less time for the body to absorb and use the candy. The structure of the body and survival instincts are the conditions that determine this tendency. Whether you give it to herbivores, carnivores, or even insects, most of them eat candy because Zhang Xiaobao couldn't remember anything as he spoke. He turned to look at Wang Wan. After all, he had learned a lot from Wang Wan after coming here. The children were very smart, and turned to look at their sister together. Wang Wan rolled her eyes at Zhang Xiaobao again and said, "Because many creatures in the world are carbon-based life forms. Of course, there are other life forms besides carbon-based life forms, but we have found too few of them. As for sugar, it is the easiest carbohydrate in nature to be broken down and absorbed." "I don't understand." Xiaobei was confused. He lowered his head and sighed, saying, "I still haven't learned enough. You will know in the future. The more you know, the more you realize your ignorance. Not all questions have answers." Zhang Xiaobao also sighed. For a moment, a look of confusion appeared in his eyes. Yes, science is endless. The only right thing is the courage to study the unknown, and to overthrow the conclusions of the predecessors. When you feel that something doesn't conform to science, it only proves that you have narrowed the scope of science. If you can't explain it for the time being, it doesn't mean that it's not scientific, but that the development of science is not perfect. At least it can't explain it. Wang Wan seemed to be saying this for her younger siblings, but in fact, she was saying this for Zhang Xiaobao. She knew that Zhang Xiaobao thought about how to come here, but she also didn't understand. Perhaps many years later, people could give a scientific answer, even the knowledge that elementary school students at that time could understand. For example, many things in the world that seemed profound now were actually things that she learned as a child in science class. The earth was round, the sun was big, and the earth was small. The earth ran around the sun. How simple was that? When she was learning, she simply put her classmates in a room, and then released synchronized images from 6 directions at the same time, directly simulating the birth and evolution of the earth. It was a very simple technology, and it had been around for more than 100 years. It's a pity that sister and brother don't have the ability to let you have a taste of it. Wang Wan thought in her heart, and looked at her younger siblings apologetically. At the same time, she asked Zhang Xiaobao, "When do you think the panoramic image can be made? It's useful for education. We don't even have film now. I've urged the Ministry of Works twice, but they keep saying that it'll be soon. I'm afraid that I'll put too much pressure on them, so it's not good to urge them again. It's more useful for military affairs. Let's go. Let's take a look at our salted fish first." Zhang Xiaobao shook his head, and continued to walk forward. "Isn't it better to make canned food? Why do we have to eat salted fish? Yes, canned food is canned food, and salted vegetables are salted vegetables. The cost of the food for individual soldiers in the inner courtyard is too high. We can't supply a large amount of it to the army." Wang Wan muttered. She was pulled along by the 2 impatient little fellows, and continued to walk forward. When they reached the drying area, everyone couldn't stand it anymore. The smell was too strong in the air. Everyone went to the logistics warehouse to get a big mask. They felt much more comfortable wearing it, mainly because many floating particles were blocked by the mask. "There are good and bad salted fish, right?" Xiao Yuan asked as he circled around a rope with many salted fish hanging on it. He pointed at a dried fish with sunken eyes and black gills. "Yes, especially the fish head. It'll be removed after it's dry. Otherwise, it'll be easy to get poisoned after eating it. We're keeping it now so that it's convenient to hang it up and dry. Those whose heads have fallen off can only be put on a flat surface to dry. It's now in the storage period for the army," Zhang Xiaobao explained. "Won't you get poisoned if you eat a salted fish without a head?" Xiaobei asked. "There's also the possibility of getting poison, but there's no other way. We have to enrich the people's dining tables as much as possible. It's our fault that our skills aren't good enough. Food is the most important thing for the people. This is also why I'm against wasting food. Since ancient times, many dynasties have changed because of food. Of course, there's a rebellion when there's no food to eat." Zhang Xiaobao said as he patted his sister's head. Xiaobei blinked and ran to the side of a big salted fish. He pointed at the fish and said, "Shall we eat salted fish tonight?" "Okay, I have to choose properly. I can't let you guys get poisoned. Zhang Xiaobao really went to choose the fish as he spoke. Chapter 1146. For Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, it meant that it was snowing in Jilin. The news they received said that it was snowing heavily. When they received the news, the snow had not stopped yet. When they looked up at the sky, it was dark. They could only see white when the snow fell like cotton. If it were any other place, such as Gyeonggi Province or Hunan Province, this would definitely be a disaster area. However, in Jilin, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were not worried at all. Firstly, it was very cold in Jilin during winter. It was normal for it to snow. Even if it was heavy, it would not matter. It would be abnormal if it did not snow. Secondly, there were not many people there. Most of them were soldiers, and they were well prepared. There was no need to take care of them at all. If even the soldiers stationed there could not withstand the snow, it could only mean that the soldiers were not trained well enough. Compared to the situation there, they needed to be more concerned about their mothers. The two pregnant mothers were about to give birth, and were currently staying in the expected delivery room. The same Lu Zhou, the same twins, almost the same time of pregnancy, and the same delivery date. Everything was coincidental. However, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did not care about such things. If it was recorded in history, perhaps there would be a sentence, "No coincidence, no story." However, it did not seem to have much to do with history now. Both of them were very nervous. Although people said that a woman was only in danger when she gave birth to her first child, the two of them were still on guard. After all, they were twins this time. Not only did they need their mother to be safe, but they also needed their younger brother or sister to be safe. O heavens, O earth, O dragon god, I'm praying to you. You must protect my mother and mother-in-law. If you really need someone to die, it's best to die. Let the people on the other side of the earth die. Zhang Xiaobao nagged, and Wang Wan, who was watching at the side, was confused. She asked, "Xiaobao, do you believe in gods too?" In the past, I didn't believe them. They always spouted nonsense in front of me, especially when they were drunk. Now I choose to believe them for once. If they dare to play any tricks on me, I will teach them a lesson. I don't believe that they won't ask me for help in the future. You're so full of yourself. You're acting like a god. It's been raining for the past few days. I'm afraid that the humidity will be too high and harm our mother's body. It's also too dry to roast her in a charcoal brazier. Why don't you put your celestial brothers aside and think of a better idea with me? Wang Wan didn't believe that Zhang Xiaobao would have any faith in a religious figure. Not to mention Zhang Xiaobao, even she didn't believe in it. Many religious doctrines were good, especially in special times. There were also many ethnic customs. For example, Mao Zedong didn't teach to eat pork. One reason was that pigs were easy to spread diseases at that time. Another reason was that they consumed too much food, so they didn't eat pork. But why did they eat cows and sheep? It was because cows and sheep ate grass. Also, when you shook hands with people in India, you must never reach out your left hand, because they eat with their right hand and not their left hand. It was because under special circumstances, or under normal circumstances, Indians used their left hand to clean up after they defecated. When she first came here, she saw other people using toilet paper. Although it looked more disgusting, she and Xiaobao had never used it. At that time they were still young. When they had the status, even if they didn't have good toilet paper, they still had to use cloth. Sigh, now the Tang people can go and enjoy life. At least they have toilet paper that they can use. The existence of religion is actually reasonable. Wang Wan thought for a moment, then said conclusively. Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. He didn't understand how religion and toilet paper were related. Fortunately, his IQ was not low, and he was also able to adapt to the jump in thinking. He said, "Not all people in Tang have the money to buy toilet paper. Some still use leaves and sticks. Personal hygiene is also not as good as you think, especially disinfection and sterilization of reproductive organs. As for the meaning of the existence of religion, the biggest reason is that when the ruler himself is unable to form a better belief system, it is just a means to consolidate the ruling position. If no one uses the doctrines of religion out of selfishness, many religions in the world are good. But that is absolutely impossible. Even the people of religion can split up a religion for their own interests. How can you expect them to save the world? Also, religion has another characteristic, which is that it is exclusive. Since you love the world, why do you distinguish between them? There is reincarnation in the 6 realms. How can you stand in the secular world, worship in the heart, and hold the holy sword in the hand? These are the 3 fucking religions. The prosperity of Buddhism was not caused by India. It was caused by China. Only China's cultural foundation can let people understand that a grain of sand, a world, a flower, a leaf, a tathagata. Maybe it's because my status is not high enough. I can't be pious when they talk about religion. I have never seen anyone being pious before. If I were to be pious, I would be a communist. You and I have high status in Great Tang. You dare to say that we are communists together with me? Or should I say that we have reached communism? Since I can remember until now, I only have one bodhisattva in my heart. I remember there was a 60-year-old man who drove a VIP to our place. After that, I found out that it was not a VIP. It was a RV. I bought a few of them. There was a trailer, and there was a bigger trailer. At that time, that old man said that he would give us 20,000 renminbi to cook a few good meals for us. In the end, that 20-year-old woman smiled gently. Wei Wei shook her head and pouted. She was so beautiful. If I were to describe it now, it would be the 12 zodiacs. So, 20,000 renminbi became 200,000 renminbi. Bodhisattva, definitely a bodhisattva. Although some people say that bodhisattva is a man, but you asked me now. I will tell you that the bodhisattva in my heart is a woman. That smile can make flowers bloom and butterflies dance. So bodhisattva is just adding zeros. What 12 zodiacs? It's 6 zodiacs, okay? The 12 zodiacs are the holy warriors. Don't tell me you have watched too many cartoons from 100 years ago that reminded you of that Shaka, who said that he was the only one in the world. Wang Wan pursed her lips and smiled. She knew that Zhang Xiaobao was just saying that out of boredom. He was not trying to gain sympathy. If a woman sympathized with a man, it would make him feel inferior. A real man needed to control and conquer, even if he was a scavenger. Does the 12 zodiacs have anything to do with Buddhism? In your words, I am at least the king of hell Hades. Let's go out and take a walk. You will be confused if you are too concerned. Leave everything to the medical staff. With our skills, we will only be adding to the chaos if we help deliver the baby. Zhang Xiaobao straightened his clothes and pushed the door open. When he opened the door, he narrowed his eyes. Then he realized that it was not snowing here. There was no reflection from the snow. I hope it will snow in Luzhou as well. I want the children in Luzhou, who have never seen snow before, to be happy. Zhang Xiaobao said when he realized that it was not snowing. Wang Wan, who followed him out, looked at the sky and nodded in agreement. Yes, it has happened in history that the children can see snow, but it was always light snow, especially during the Little Ice Age. There was a record of snow in Qinzhou. If it was said that it snowed on the equator many years ago, I would believe it. But I definitely don't believe that you can see snow in Luzhou this year. It's raining heavily now. Oh, I know. The Little Ice Age is cold, so it snows here, Zhang Xiaobao said as he straightened his collar again. He looked like a scholar. The Little Ice Age doesn't refer to cold. It refers to a special environment. During the Little Ice Age it was dry. It was very hot. Wang Wan explained to Zhang Xiaobao. That's right. When things reach an extreme, they will move in the opposite direction. When it's cold to a certain extent, it will become hot. Many people who froze to death felt that they were very hot before they died, so they took off their clothes. Zhang Xiaobao loosened his collar. He still wanted to be a scholar, but he did not loosen his collar properly. The opening of his collar was wider, making him look like an expert. He looked like a local ruffian. Then, how do you plan to solve the problem of the humidity in the delivery room? Wang Wan gave him face, and did not continue to talk about the Little Ice Age. Use quicklime. It works the fastest. If the wind blows, it will blow everywhere. It's best if the surrounding air rises as a whole. It's very difficult to heat up an area. I don't know if the people will be willing to cooperate. Zhang Xiaobao said worriedly. He suggested a solution, but he rejected it. Then he suggested, Let's find a family to eat. I feel like I'm too frivolous and ungrounded. I used to feel guilty when I encountered the same thing when I was doing business. You're guilty? What kind of business is that? Wang Wan could not bear to see Zhang Xiaobao being so arrogant. How am I not doing a proper business? It's just a short recovery period and a high return. Do you think the world's wealth is numbered or not? Zhang Xiaobao asked self-righteously. It's not numbered, Wang Wan replied. That's right. Since it's not numbered, is it wrong for me to earn more? It's numbered. Since it's numbered, why can't I earn when others can? Who distributed all the resources? Xiaobao, my dear husband, count the moon at night. See if it's numbered or not. Wang Wan used her trump card. Zhang Xiaobao straightened his collar and said, Actually, it's not difficult to determine how much wealth there is in the world. The upper limit of the world's wealth depends on the level of technological development. If you can only obtain resources from Earth, then there's a limit to all the resources. Even if the power provided by a perpetual motion machine, there's also an upper limit. There's always a limit to tidal, solar, and wind. If you get a solar panel outside the atmosphere, you'll definitely get more electricity than inside. If you don't wear a spacesuit when facing the sun, the ultraviolet rays will burn you to death. While the two were chatting, they came to a house. They did not know whose house it was, but they saw that the house's courtyard was not small. They couldn't go to those with small courtyards. It was not easy to live there. The house they found was not bad. It was a house with 2 entrances. It was not very deep, but the horizontal area was large. The reason why it was not a house with 3 entrances was because they were afraid of overdoing it. Not many people dared to build a house with a deep courtyard like Zhang Xiaobao, and Wang Wan did. Lu Zhou usually built 2 entrances vertically. The 3rd entrance was for officials above the 7th grade, and the 4th entrance was for officials above the 5th grade. However, the 5th grade officials were not willing to build 4 entrances. They just opened a side door. This was because most of the 5th grade officials in the capital had 3 entrances. If there were many officials, the house would look small. 3 entrances was already good enough. At the same time, it was also affected by the streets of the capital, so it expanded horizontally. There were only 2 places in Luzhou that were not restricted. One was the provincial governor's mansion. There were pavilions, terraces, and small bridges. The other was the Ocean and Clouds Tavern. The latter could be built however he wanted. The former was a little troublesome. No matter how he built it, he could not change the layout of an official's house. He did not care about the decorations in the house. He could not even build a small path outside. The house that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan came to was relatively wide. Obviously, they lived a good life. When the 2 of them came to the front door and were about to knock and enter, Zhang Xiaobao could not understand a sound came from inside. What are you mumbling about? Zhang Xiaobao's raised hand stopped in midair as he muttered. Wang Wan listened carefully. Her eyes immediately reddened as she said, The people inside are burning incense. They said that they are willing to exchange their lives for the smooth birth of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's children. A life for a life. Chapter 1147. Why bother? I haven't even mastered the technique of exchanging a life for a life. They can't do it even if they want to. The people of Luzhou are too simple-minded. They know too little about science. I don't feel good listening to their grumbling. Zhang Xiaobao purposely said nonsensical words, but then he couldn't help but sigh. Wang Wan raised her hand and knocked on the door. The sound of the knocking was accompanied by the dripping of rain, giving off a dull feeling. Who is it? After a short while, the side door of the main gate was opened from the inside. A head poked out and looked out. When he saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's faces, he opened his mouth in surprise and did not know what to say. It's almost noon. Xiaobao and I want to find a place to eat. Is it convenient for you? Wang Wan said to the head with a smile. The head nodded vigorously. It's convenient. It's convenient to eat whenever you want. After saying that, the head was so excited that he closed the door with a bang. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard someone shouting and running inside. Master, madam, this is bad. Someone is here to eat. Quickly get someone to prepare. This is bad. If our inner court was like him, I would have kicked him out long ago. If I can't kick him out, I'll leave on my own. He's not calm when he's in trouble. Let us in for tea first. When he heard the commotion inside, Zhang Xiaobao sighed again and said, "The problem is that our courtyard is not a two-section courtyard. The money spent is different. Don't be idle these days. When your brother and sister are born, you have to help them name their names. It will be very noisy if there are too many children." Wang Wan touched the door with her hand. The paint on the vermilion door did not fall off because of the rain. Based on her touch, there was a layer of shiny oil outside the paint. The production of this material was very low. It needed to be blended with petroleum products. There was gasoline inside, not soybean oil. There was only one place in Great Tang that produced it, and that was the Ministry of Works. "Xiaobao, look, we found a well-to-do family. They can actually use shiny oil in a two-section courtyard. Many officials in the three-section courtyard have never heard of it." Wang Wan wagged her finger and said to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao agreed. "It's not a normal well-to-do family. If we had known, we would have changed to another one. It makes people think that we came here on purpose. It's not on purpose. It's fate." As soon as Zhang Xiaobao's a woman's. Then, there was the sound of messy footsteps in the water. When the door opened, an old lady with white hair and a bun walked out with her back straight. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan hurriedly supported her. Wang Wan said, "Old madam, you can't do this. Xiaobao and I walked to your house. We happened to be hungry and wanted to ask for a bowl of rice." "It's good to be hungry. Hunger means fate. Why aren't you hungry when you walk to other places? So many people want to kiss you and Xiaobao, but they can't even have a meal. Since you're in front of my house, I can't let you two run away." The servants are not sensible and ran back. If they were smart, they would have tied you two up with ropes. If you ran away, they would regret it for the rest of their lives. The white-haired old madam looked at Zhang Xiaobao, and then at Wang Wan. She did not show fear like many people. Instead, she looked at them as if they were her juniors. If it were an ordinary person, they would have to be respectful just because of the old madam's behavior. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were also respectful, but it had nothing to do with the old madam's behavior. As long as the old madam was not disrespectful, they would be respectful. Thus, the two of them helped the old madam into the house. The people in the courtyard began to get busy. The cooks were even more alert. The old madam led Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan into the living room. She had them sit down and ordered tea and snacks. Then she said to Zhang Xiaobao kindly, "Xiao and the others will be born soon, right?" Counting the days, it should be in the next few days. Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. He thought to himself, "Why are you so enthusiastic about my mother giving birth?" However, he said, Soon. It's just that it's been raining nonstop recently. It's stuffy, hot and humid. I'm afraid it's not good for the body." "Then you have to be careful. If your family's life is good, my family's life will be better. When your father ran away with your mother, they hid in my inn. When the Yamen runners chased after them, I stuffed your father and mother into the cellar and said I didn't see them. Later, your family became successful, and I benefited from it. See, I moved to Luzhou 2 years ago. It's good here. It's not cold in winter." The old madam held Wang Wan's hand and looked at Zhang Xiaobao as she talked about the past. Granny Huang, we're actually at your house. Cuckoo and I were planning to find a random family to have a meal with. It's fate." At this moment, Zhang Xiaobao realized he did not bring any gifts. He also understood why the old madam could use the shiny oil. The only thing Zhang Xiaobao could do was bow. Wang Wan stood up obediently and bowed with Zhang Xiaobao. Good. You're just like your father and mother when they were young. A talented man and a beautiful woman. A match made in heaven. At that time, the Yamen runners even told me that your father and mother broke the law. Do you think I'm that easy to fool? I said I didn't know. What can they do to me? I'm a widow with 2 children. How dare they bully me? I've done many wrong things in my life, but I've done one right thing. At least, my 2 children are married now. They're all successful. Don't worry about your mother. I've discussed it with the heavens. If something really happens, it'll come to me. A life for a life. I've lived for so long, and my only regret is that I haven't seen your grandfather with my own eyes. If it's him who comes today, I'll stand at the door and scold him. When the old lady reached a certain age, she didn't need to put on any pretense. She spoke her mind directly and didn't hide it at all. Grandma Huang is right. At first, I felt uncomfortable. Then I thought about it. At the beginning, my father's status was too low. Even if he's not studying now, there's still a big gap between him and my grandfather. But I can't put my mother in the middle. What's more, my grandfather's family has shown their sincerity. Grandma Huang, are you used to living here? Zhang Xiaobao also said very calmly. Now, no one in his maternal grandfather's family dared to look down on his father. Everyone said that people lived to fight for their dignity, but when they fought for their dignity, what they got was not the venting of their anger, but a sigh. Time was merciless. What was the point of looking back? Good. Let's not talk about the past. Let's eat. It's a pity that only the two of you came today. It would be lively if the group of little fellows also came. Old Madame Huang said regretfully. As for how the food should be cooked, no one mentioned anything. The chefs just had to do their best. If they really wanted to compete, they might as well go back and cook for themselves. What kind of delicacies could they not get? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were not picky. They could eat what others could eat. In order to survive, they could eat what others couldn't. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan found a place that provided meal tickets and ate to their heart's content. Li Longji, on the other hand, couldn't find a meal ticket. He had people look around, but after finding nothing, he could only let the imperial chefs who followed him make lunch. Those two definitely ran out to eat secretly and left me here to starve. No brother and sister like that. Xiaobei, don't you think so? Li Longji felt that the lunch made by the imperial chefs was much worse. He muttered a few words in dissatisfaction and tried to rope Xiaobei in as an ally. Xiaobei was eating soup and rice. There were also a few side dishes on the table. Only the soup was clean, and the side dishes were prepared by her family. The other things were all carved into beautiful patterns. She didn't dare to eat them. There were tofu and bamboo shoots. They were carved into the shape of heavenly maidens scattering flowers. Wasn't it still tofu and bamboo shoots? She could make them look good, but she couldn't eat them. She was afraid that she would get a stomachache. When she heard the emperor's question, Xiaobei put down her chopsticks and replied seriously. Yes. I was planning to eat wonton at noon today, but it seems that I will have to wait until evening. I can only make do with this meal now. Uncle Emperor, please tell the masters in the imperial kitchen not to use tofu to carve things in the future. They only need to be able to cut the ingredients. They don't need to have profound carving skills. If they really want to compete in carving, how can they compare to specialized carving skills? The strong don't hold banquets because of their appearance. The hungry and cold beg for food because of warmth. In my Wuxia, the great etiquette is known as summer, and the beauty of clothing is known as hua. But what is beauty? I believe that the beauty of clothing lies in the body. The beauty of food lies in the taste. The beauty of accommodation lies in the comfort. And the beauty of travel lies in the charm. So, Xiao Yuan was being attacked even when he was lying down. It had nothing to do with him, even though he was only drinking soup and eating side dishes. Of course, the other children were the same. The dishes were too scary and not suitable to be eaten at home. Originally, the food was arranged into various shapes. When people ate it, they would think that it had been touched by others. How disgusting was that? Hearing Xiaobei change the topic, Xiao Yuan helplessly put down his chopsticks and said, So. The etiquette lies in the heart and intention, not the form. The beauty comes from the appearance, not the flower. The budding spring is the beauty. The trickling summer is the beauty. The late autumn leaves are also the beauty. The winter cold, the cold plum blossoms are even more beautiful in the snow. The beauty is ordinary, not complicated. Chang'an is sparse and doesn't need the beauty. The sea doesn't need the beauty. We're just eating a meal. Carving like this, and carving like that. It's not like I haven't seen carvings before. My family's carving skills are all jade carvings. In the future, I'll ask the imperial chef to change it. It's fine to practice carving skills, but don't use 90% of every dish to show off your carving skills. Isn't that too idle? Uncle Emperor, take a look at this. Who hollowed out the lamb liver into a plum blossom? There's also green onions. Xiaobei reminded him. The ones below are white onions. They're taken as snow and shaped like plum blossoms proud in the snow. Both are considered supplements. Tear off a strip of the lamb liver and place it with the green onions. Dip it in the garlic and chili sauce on the side and eat it. The garlic and chili sauce is red. It's called a little plum blossom, a little red. It's good for the body. Li Longji's face turned red. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't here today, so he asked the imperial chefs to make a dish. In the end, he was criticized by the two little fellows as if there was nothing good about it. Even his own son and daughter followed suit and only drank soup. In the future, when the imperial kitchen cooks, your carving skills are not allowed to exceed 40%. Don't use your energy on your knife skills, Li Longji said. In the end, after the meal, Li Longji was even more depressed. He didn't eat well. In the afternoon the rain stopped. He led the group outside for a stroll and found that there were fewer commoners outside. Usually when they went out, they could see many carriages. Today there were only a few passing by. Where's everyone? Li Longji asked in puzzlement. Replying to your majesty, they've all gone home to burn incense. The madams of the Zhang family and the Wang family are showing signs of giving birth. The people in the medical hall are on alert. There are also many people surrounding the area to prevent others from getting close. There's a charcoal fire nearby. It's said that it's to drive away the cold. Gao Lisher received the report from his subordinates and said to Li Longji. Chapter 1148. Oh, realization dawned on Li Longji. No wonder. It's not convenient for me to go there personally. The empress and concubine, we can take care of them. Little Bei, don't go and cause trouble. Tell the servants to be careful of the candles. Then, when will I be able to see my younger brother or sister? Little Bei seemed anxious. The others could only shake their heads in response to her question. Who knew when they would be able to see their younger brother? Even if they were preparing now, they might have to wait until the next day. There was no definite answer. As for whether Luzhou's economy would be affected if they went home to offer incense, nobody cared. Nobody criticized the Zhang Wang clan duo. This was the home advantage. Why didn't the people offer incense when Juner and Panner were born? Li Longji smacked his lips and said with a hint of jealousy in his voice when he saw the little ones had gone off to study on their own. That's because you didn't publicize it, Your Majesty. The people in the capital can't possibly ask about the palace when they have nothing to do. If someone does, we'll have to guard against them. Why don't we publicize it the next time you have something to do, Your Majesty? Gao Lisher explained. At the same time, he was impressed by Su Mingyang. He was addicted to being an official at the docks. If he were in Su Mingyang's shoes, he would go mad with anger if he saw the people stop working for the former wives of several realms. Li Longji sighed. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo have to worry about the publicity. The two of them have their own plans. When they brought Zhang Zhong over, who would have thought this would happen? Now that Luzhou's population is increasing, why are the people who came to Luzhou joining in the fun? Zhang Zhong didn't do them any favors. Gao Lisher and Wei Wei paused for a moment before he said. It's true that he didn't do them any favors. However, once they come to Luzhou, they won't be able to leave Luzhou's Chamber of Commerce. Everyone knows that the Luzhou's Chamber of Commerce is backed by the Zhang family and the Wang family. When they work for the main family, they have to protect the main family. Besides, he couldn't stand the praises of his neighbors. Everyone praised the Zhang clan and the Wang clan. And after hearing a lot, he naturally felt that they were good as well. Moreover, the way the Zhang clan and the Wang clan did things was truly difficult for others to find fault with. Xiao Bao had many tricks up his sleeve, but he had never schemed against any part of the Great Tang. Moreover, Xiao Bei and the other 8 are the Great Tang's patrol inspectors that you personally appointed. When the people listen to stories, they like to hear about a certain corrupt official being dealt with. If that's the case, do you think the people of Luzhou will treat the Zhang family and the Wang family badly? What about us? Am I not good enough? Li Longji asked again. Yes, Your Majesty is different from the others. The people miss Your Majesty, but because Your Majesty's status is too noble and lofty, they won't think too much about other things. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are closer to you. They revere you while they respect and love Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are actually worried that you'll lose your position, so they've been promoting you. Every issue of the newspapers all over the country has words like, Your Majesty. During the disaster relief, they're also using the imperial family's name. Although the people know that many of the supplies were taken out from the warehouses of the Zhang family and the Wang family, they've been helping you. Gao Lisher chuckled and began to analyze. Actually, I know that too. It's just that I feel a little uncomfortable when I see that the people favor the Zhang family and the Wang family more than me. Winter is coming, and there aren't too many disasters this year. The patrol inspectors are coming out in waves, and the officials all over the country are afraid. They've done what they should do well. The only problem is that it's man-made. They're so bold that they actually dared to attack Xiaobei and the others directly. They even wanted to scheme against the Zhang family and the Wang family. If possible, they planned to kill me as well. After that, they pretended that they didn't know anything. This matter isn't over yet. When I have the financial support, I'll personally fight and avenge the people of Tang. Li Longji suddenly remembered that the new year was coming. He realized that there weren't many disasters this year. There weren't so many droughts and floods, and there wasn't a scene of the whole family fleeing. As he spoke, he thought of the incident in Jiangnan Circuit and was furious. In the past, Gao Lisher would have persuaded him, but now he supported him. Your Majesty, you should really go on an expedition yourself. When Xiao Bao and Cuckoo finish fighting Duosher, the two of them will organize the troops to support your Majesty. This was the reason why Gao Lisher supported him. When the time came, the emperor would personally lead the expedition, but the choice of the general would be up to him. When it came to the deployment of troops, it would be up to him to decide who to listen to. Li Longji understood the meaning behind his words. After thinking for a while, he finally nodded and said, Yes, I need Cuckoo's advice. Don't let your emotions affect your decisions. Otherwise, the good men of Tang will be buried. The rain has stopped. Let's go out for a walk. I don't know when we'll come again. It's best not to have too many snow disasters this winter. No one can say for sure what the heavens want. As long as there's no snow south of the Yellow River, it'll be fine. The people in the north are already used to it. I don't think they'll be able to come out immediately this time. Gao Lisher walked out with her and talked about the trip. I'll be satisfied if I can come out once a year and stay outside for 3 months. This time, it's to build a railway. What excuse should I use next time? When we go back, there should be some roads that are open to traffic. Let's take a seat and see who can tell us. What's the prosperity of spring and autumn? Maybe Xiao Bao and Cuckoo can know. Li Longji clasped his hands behind his back and shook his head. Gao Lisher echoed, I think so. Every time the Ministry of Works, the Sinangxi Temple, and the Medical College come up with something new, the two of them are very calm and not surprised at all. Every time, they can point out what to pay attention to when using the new thing, and how it can be used in other places. It's as if they already know it. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan naturally didn't know that because they weren't at home at noon, the quality of their food was very poor. When they were about 70% full, they had to say goodbye to Granny Huang and her family and go to the delivery room. When they arrived, the first thing they felt was a wave of heat. They were all people who were advised to burn charcoal far away. Just now, they were too close to the delivery room. Not only was it hot, but there was also smoke, so they were advised to go outside to cool off. How is it? Zhang Xiaobao stood outside and asked. He didn't go in, because he couldn't help much even if he went in. Just now Madame Zhang made a little movement, but now she stopped. We're all waiting. Madame Wang hasn't reacted yet. Little young master, don't worry, there definitely won't be any problems. In the past few years, I've delivered at least 3,000 children, if not 10,000. There's a delivery job every day. The accident rate for the first child is 0.5%, and the accident rate for women who have delivered before is 0.1%, which is 0.1%. This refers to the situation in the hospital, where the accident rate is very high. There's no other way, because the medical conditions are not up to standard, the obstetrician assured Zhang Xiaobao. and Wang Wan that the person who was qualified to deliver the mother of the two was naturally the head of the obstetrics and gynecology department of Dai Hospital. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and looked at Wang Wan. Both of them knew that this was already very small, although it couldn't be compared to their time, as long as the cause was not congenital, as long as the hospital was chosen. It was impossible for there to be any accident during delivery. At that time, medical technology was better developed. In theory, as long as there was a need for blood and cell replacement, the mother and child could meet the requirements. There was no such thing as a mismatch because during pregnancy, the mother and child were symbiotic. What could circulate in the mother's body would also circulate in the child's body. Although the actual operation was a little difficult, no problem had been found in the theoretical argument. But now the death rate of 0.5% was really too small. No one in Japan, or the surrounding areas would dare to believe it. To hire a midwife with a death rate of 10% for the first child, the price was not small. Even if the death rate was only 2%, 1 in 50 would die. Such a probability was frightening. If there is any deviation, I asked, to save the mother. Zhang Xiaobao said this sentence with great difficulty, because once this sentence came out, if his younger brothers and sisters knew in the future, they would naturally feel uncomfortable in their hearts. Wang Wan also nodded at the side. In case there was a need to choose, it was sad to lose a younger brother or a younger sister. But it was definitely not as bad as losing a mother. The longer people lived together, the more difficult it was to part with them. This was a kind of attachment and a kind of habit. Understood, I know what to do. The doctor only answered a few words, turned around and went in again, but the meaning was clearly expressed. In the future, this sentence would not be spread out. Let's go. Now our family is finally prosperous, including the one we picked up later. There are a total of 16 people. Haha, it's so lively. It's enough to open a small kindergarten. Zhang Xiaobao walked back with his arm around Wang Wan's waist and said happily. Wang Wan did not avoid others. She let Zhang Xiaobao put his arm around her waist, and at the same time, put her hand on Zhang Xiaobao's waist and said, "Normal people are normal and have normal health. They can have a lot of children, but they can't raise them. Didn't the founding general also write in My Mother that if too many children are born, they can only drown? It's the tragedy of the era. If they can't have children, they can't raise the children they give birth to. How sad would it be to kill a young life with one's own hands?" Yes, so now we're helping the Tang Empire to raise them, and let them have as many children as they can. Anyway, the country is so big, we need people to live there. Zhang Xiaobao said. How big is our country? Are you saying that 9.6 million square kilometers can accommodate 1.4 billion people? Wang Wan asked. No, it's 1.4 billion square kilometers. When the standard of living is high, and the level of education is high, the population growth will not be fast. The reason for the growth is that the lifespan is extended. As long as the social security is in place, many couples are not willing to have children. The poorer and more backward a place is, the more children there will be. Individuals don't have many skills, so they can get fewer survival resources. When there are more children, they can naturally get more. They can't find other entertainment in their daily life, so they can only do one thing. Plus, they lack the knowledge and skills to raise children, so children are born. Zhang Xiaobao hugged Wang Wan and waved his hand generously. His body turned a circle, and Wang Wan turned a bigger circle. Wang Wan, who found that she was walking more, was not willing. She also hugged Zhang Xiaobao and turned a circle. Finally, she made up for the distance and said with a smile, "Oh, you're planning to occupy the land of the earth. In fact, people can live on the sea. It's okay if you expand the area a little." Oh, I forgot about that. Well, I'll let the natives of other places live on the sea in the future. I've decided, after killing Polyshire, I'll drive the natives of the northeast region to the Mediterranean Sea. Otherwise, they'll find a way to make their own boats and take them to North America. Zhang Xiaobao waved his fist and said confidently. Chapter 1149. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless fantasy translation. Another 2 days passed while waiting for the birth. Wang Wan's mother was the first to show signs of movement. Due to her previous experience, she wasn't particularly afraid. With the help of the doctor, the 2 children were born one after another. Coincidentally, the Jiang Wang clan also showed signs of movement 2 hours later. Then the 2 children were born smoothly. The 2 were also twins, and they were also fraternal twins. However, the Wang clan's 2 children were born first, unlike Xiaobei and the others. Knowing that the mother and child were safe, Zhang Xiaobao heaved a sigh of relief. He wanted to go in to take a look, but was stopped outside. Only Wang Wan, Xiaobei Danan, and Xiaonan were allowed to go in. Wang Wan's mother's child was born early, but she hadn't opened her eyes yet. On the contrary, Zhang Xiaobao's younger brother and sister opened their eyes when they were carried out. The medical staff squatted down, so that Xiaobei and the others could see the children. Why is she so wrinkled? Xiaobei stared at her younger sister. She was different from what she had imagined. She thought that she would be fair and plump. But in the end, she was small and wrinkled. Hearing the sound, the baby girl closed one of her eyes and tried hard to open the other. However, she could only open a small gap. Through this small gap, her eyes met with Xiaobei's gaze. Her eyes were originally lifeless, but Xiaobei felt that there was a special charm in them. That slightly dazed, helpless, and inquisitive expression made Xiaobei feel more solemn. It also symbolized the arrival of a new life. Younger sister, welcome. I announce that you have come to this world. As your older sister, I will tell you how wonderful this world is. I will protect you until the day you can protect others. Your laughter is what I look forward to. I am willing to bear this responsibility, because this is also my happiness. Xiaobei smiled at his sister with the most gentle expression he could muster before solemnly promising her. Looking at the other 3 children, Xiaobei lamented to his sister. So the birth of new life can make people so excited and happy. When I see them, I feel that I'm no longer weak. I have to be strong and hold up the blue sky for them. I've decided that in order to celebrate the birth of my younger brothers and sisters, from now on, Tang Dynasty's precious candy house will prepare a family meal for all the children of Tang Dynasty for free within 24 hours. I'm willing to give my all for my younger brothers and sisters. Your brother and I thought the same. I believe our parents felt the same way. Wang Wan patted Xiaobei's head. Yes, I believe that the majority of people would be like that when faced with a new life. However, there are also a small number of people who don't deserve to be human. For example, our younger sister Honger's original father, that official or something. I don't even have the heart to remember him. Aya, do they want to drink milk? I'll have someone prepare it right away. Xiaobei snuggled up to his sister and suddenly remembered the problem of feeding his younger brothers and sisters. He turned around to make the arrangements. Wang Wan hurriedly pulled Xiaobei back. Don't drink milk. Our mother has milk. It's enough to feed 2 children. Back then, your brother and I didn't have a problem. It's just that our mother has to suffer. She's greatly restricted in terms of eating. Ah, can seafood be eaten? Can vegetables be eaten? For Xiaobei, who didn't have such knowledge, his mother's eating was a very mysterious matter. You can't eat things that are too salty. You also need to take in more water to maintain the protein and fats in your body. You need to eat meat. You also need to replenish the various fruits and vegetables needed for vitamins. You also need to do exercise. If you don't eat well, not only will the baby get sick, but the mother will also get sick. Many women's illnesses are caused when they are pregnant and feeding the child. Fortunately, your brother has learned a lot of knowledge in this area. Not many people can handle it. Wang Wan explained to Xiaobei. She and Zhang Xiaobao weren't like other adults who were afraid of children asking such questions. Other adults might be embarrassed, afraid that their children had learned something they shouldn't, and would ask questions. However, she and Zhang Xiaobao organized the words that the child could understand and described the matter in a language that the child could understand. This was because the 2 of them never thought that giving birth to a child was a shameful thing. The continuation of life was solemn and sacred. If anyone criticized it in the name of morality, then it was immoral in itself. If you still had obscene thoughts when facing the pure gaze of a baby, then it was definitely a kind of blasphemy to life. It was filthy to the depths of one's soul. Wang Wan had seen some people take photos of women breastfeeding their children with different thoughts. The photographer wantonly criticized the woman for doing so, and even raised it from a moral point of view. Wang Wan felt that the person who took the photos was the one who deserved to be killed the most. Other people's children cried when they were hungry, and they weren't allowed to feed the child? If you saw other people's breasts and felt that they were tempting you, then if they were to feed the child with a milk bottle, wouldn't you feel that the milk bottle was sexy? When you were filming people coveting other people's breastfeeding organs, how despicable were your actions? Did you want to imagine other people's reproductive organs according to the baby's size when they were giving birth? What in the world could be more despicable than such thoughts and actions? Sister, where are they taking my siblings? Xiao Bei asked as he held his sister's hand when he saw his siblings being carried away. They're going to do a checkup. Also, the air pressure today is too low, so they might need artificial oxygen. Otherwise, they might fall sick easily. Unfortunately, Tang Dynasty didn't have this technology when you were young, although it's far from advanced now, Wang Wan replied. Xiao Bei nodded in understanding and said, "It's fine. Anyway, we're very healthy now. I heard that the first delivery room was built in Luzhou. You and my brother built it for us." Sister, why did my brother learn so many things about children? Because he has many younger siblings, Wang Wan replied with a smile. That's true. There are already 14 of them now. I'm going to visit my mother. The children are growing so slowly. Hong has just learned how to walk, but she can't speak yet. Sigh. Xiao Bei walked to another room with a regretful expression on his face. There were 2 people from the Zhang Wang clan there. Hearing that the 4 children and 2 adults were safe and sound, Li Longji was also overjoyed. He was so overjoyed that he started pacing around the house. The palace maids, eunuchs Gao Lisher, Empress Wang, and Wu Huifei looked at the emperor with a puzzled expression. They were also happy. After all, the health of the adults and children directly affected the mood of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. With the appearance of new siblings, the 2 of them would definitely come up with many bad ideas that would be terrible for other countries. In other words, it would be good for Tang Dynasty. However, they could not understand why the emperor was so excited. Your Majesty, should we send a message to Minister Zhang? Also, there's General Wang. Under Wu Huifei's signal, Gao Lisha reminded Li Longji, who was pacing back and forth. The General Wang he mentioned was Wang Wan's father. He was currently in the capital, helping out at the secret research site of the Ministry of Works. Even though he was a general and did not know how to lead an army, he was absolutely serious when it came to defense. He knew that he was not capable enough, so he never stirred up trouble. Of course, he was not afraid of others looking for trouble. If someone really wanted to scheme against him or humiliate him, he did not even need to tell his daughter and son-in-law. The people who cooperated with the Zhang clan and Wang clan, as well as the officials from Jinjia Academy, would take action. Naturally, no one dared to bully him. They would rather bully Zhang Zhong. Looking for trouble with Zhang Zhong was an official matter, but looking for him would make him a mortal enemy. Everyone knew that Wang Wan's father was not suited to be an official, not to mention bullying him. Even a sarcastic remark could kill him. These 2 people did not come with him. There were also 4 people from the older generation of the Zhang clan and Wang clan. They were still playing chess and chatting with their neighbors in Zhuangzi. All of them needed to be reported. Li Longji, who was pacing back and forth in the hall, stopped and said, Yes. Send the report. There's no need. It's too late. They must have already sent it. I'll send a good report to the other officials. Tell them that Zhang clan and Wang clan's child was successfully born. Yes, Your Majesty. Gao Lisha received the order and went to the door to ask someone to send the report to the important officials of Tang. It was very important. What was important was not the first part, but the second part that made the 2 people happy. This was because the 2 people's happiness and anger were fully displayed on their faces. They gave people the feeling that they were alive, unlike other high-ranking officials, who could not tell whether they were happy or sad. They also sought stability in their actions. The reason for this was that the two of them no longer needed to act according to the mood of others, nor did they need to act for others to see. If the two of them were happy, the officials would let out a sigh of relief. If they were unhappy, the entire sky of the Great Tang would seem overcast. Hence, Zhang Xiaobao ordered someone to send the news back to his family, to the merchants he had worked with, and to the officials. Gao Lishir also sent the news to the officials with high status. At the same time, the people of Luzhou and the merchants also spread the news. In the end, the news of the birth of the 4 unnamed children spread throughout Tang in just a day. Most people bought their favorite food and set off firecrackers to celebrate, as if it was the new year. After the news spread, Li Longji walked around the room again. Gao Lishir turned around and asked in surprise, "Your Majesty, what are you?" "Lishir, are you happy?" Li Longji slowed down and asked. "Yes." Gao Lishir nodded. The 4 new children were Xiaobao's younger siblings. Xiaobao was his adopted son, which meant that he had more children in his family. It was especially fun to have a child like Xiaobao, who always liked to stir up trouble. Children could cause trouble, but adults who were afraid of their children stirring up trouble were all incompetent people. Besides, the people Xiaobao bullied were all officials. In the future, there would be a large group of children coming to the palace to play. The palace would be lively. That's right. I'm happy as well. Junior and Pan will have younger siblings in the future. When they have younger siblings, they will naturally have a sense of responsibility. It's a pity that the children this time are too symmetrical. I reckon the Zhang family and the Wang family will be married again. Wouldn't it be better if they have a boy and a girl next year? Li Longji said excitedly. Then, he continued to walk back and forth in the room. Everyone understood now. The emperor wanted Junior and Pan to marry the Zhang family and the Wang family. He was thinking about the children who had not been born yet. Chapter 1150. The babies were born, but the team couldn't go back immediately. They still had to wait for the Zhang Wang clan to finish their confinement. The 4 babies also needed time to adapt. Although babies had a higher chance of surviving in extreme environments than adults, that was overdrafting their vitality. When the telegram was sent back, Zhang Zhong and Wang Wan's father were very happy, but they couldn't come to visit in person. The two of them had been busy with the Ministry of Works, and they emphasized the safety of production and development, and the safety of the guards. Similarly happy were a group of officials led by the Minister of Revenue, Wang Bei, who were unfriendly to the Zhang Wang clan. When they found out that the Zhang Wang clan's 2 pregnant women were also going to the place where the emperor was going, they were furious. It was obvious that the emperor needed to wait for the babies to be born before returning. They didn't want the emperor to go out in the first place. If it was in the past, it would be easier. Going to such a distant place was a waste of money and manpower. Moreover, important matters in the capital couldn't be reported in time. The officials would coax the emperor together. If the emperor really wanted to go out, he could only stroll around Jiangyi province. At this moment, neither of the 2 excuses were valid. The emperor didn't need the financial funds of the imperial court to go out, and he didn't even need to use the palace treasury. That damn Zhang Xiaobao took care of everything. He could be said to be rich and overbearing. He supported a team of more than 30,000 people, without even frowning. There was also the supply team behind, which required at least 50,000 people. Based on the calculation that each person spent at least 100 copper coins a day, that was 5,000 strings of coins. 150,000 strings of coins a month. If there were special circumstances, they would have to pay extra. With so much money, how many merchants would be scared to death in the Great Tang? If it was in Japan, it would be more than half a year's income. This was because Japan was doing business with the Great Tang. Otherwise, Japan wouldn't be able to get 3 million strings of coins a year. They wouldn't be able to do it even if they worked themselves to death. How much did the Great Tang get in a year? However, Zhang Xiaobao didn't care. He traveled all the way, solved all kinds of hidden problems, and dealt with Japan in passing. Wang Bei really wanted to impeach Zhang Xiaobao. The reason was that Zhang Xiaobao spent so much money. Wouldn't it be better if he spent it on the people? Was 150,000 strings of coins a month a joke? Why should it be spent by Zhang Xiaobao? Halfway through the memorial, Wang Bei realized that Zhang Xiaobao was not spending the imperial court's money. He was spending his own money. That's right. He didn't know when he started to think that the money of the Zhang family and Wang family was the imperial court's money. Who asked these two families to always take out money to provide research for the Ministry of Works and the Sidong Temple? Who asked them to always transport things to disaster areas at the fastest speed? Who asked them to? Anyway, it's their way of doing things. They give people the impression that it's easy to get money from them to help the great Tang. It's their fault. Yes, it's their fault. Wang Bei selectively forgot the grievances in his heart and pushed all the blame onto the Zhang family and the Wang family. Husband, who made you angry this time? While Wang Bei was struggling, his wife came in with hot soup. She heard the noise and asked with concern. It's the Zhang family and the Wang family. They came to Luzhou to give birth to a child. And they actually delayed His Majesty in the south in the name of the child. They're harming the country. The child has just been born. But he's already started to harm our dynasty. What will happen when he grows up? They're a family of villains. Humph. Wang Bei blamed the baby. When he lowered his head and saw the soup sent by his wife, he asked, "What's the soup?" "It's the flying dragon soup made of birds sent from the northern part of Hebei province. They said it's delicious and nutritious, so I made an extra bowl and sent it here," Wang Bei's wife replied. "Oh, they're kind enough to send something to my family? Didn't they stop all the benefits before?" Wang Bei sneered. "It's all because Qing is pregnant. Her body is weak, and the doctor gave her a prescription, saying that the flying dragon soup is suitable. So the Zhang family sent this bird, saying that the political views of the adults are different, and it has nothing to do with the child. They also said that the child is never wrong. It's too despicable to put the grudge on the child, and the Zhang family and the Wang family disdained to do it." Wang Bei's wife explained that Qing was the eldest daughter-in-law, and she had been pregnant for 7 months. Wang Bei's face turned red when he heard this. Just now, he had accused the other family's child of harming the country and the people. Then his wife gave such an answer. He felt that his face had been slapped more than 200 times. It was burning hot. Who was the gentleman, and who was the villain? As a minister, Wang Bei had trained his face to be thick-skinned. He immediately calmed down and said to his wife, "Put it down. I'll think about the heavy snow again. The Ministry of Revenue is going to allocate money again, at least part of it." After his wife left, Wang Bei took a deep breath and murmured, "They want to bribe me with small favors. Forget it. I don't want to speak ill of people behind their backs." No matter how thick-skinned Wang Bei was, he knew that he was in the wrong. It was not good for him to say anything more about this matter. He carefully looked around, afraid that he would be discovered. If it was leaked, once it was reported, he would be drowned in the spittle of the people of Tang. Fortunately, the emperor was coming back, and it was a happy thing. Another thing that made the officials of the capital happy was that the first generation of diesel engines had been finalized. They had invested money in it, and there was no return yet. The first generation of diesel engines was finalized, and 10 diesel engines were produced, and they were distributed according to the streets. The back of the hand-guided tractor was modified to have many seats, and it was used to transport the officials who invested in it to and from work. The speed was not very fast, and it was slower than the speed of the carriage. It was very bumpy, and smoke was coming out of it. However, the officials who were qualified to ride it did not care. Instead, they were proud of it. The main reason was that others did not have it. No matter how smoky the tractor was when the wind was against them, it was also a symbol of status. Who cared whether they could breathe or not? They could only watch, and they did not know how it felt to sit on a tractor. Do you know how it felt to sit on a carriage that did not require a horse or a person? The smell of the smoke coming out of the carriage was so invigorating, and it made one's breath stronger, especially when the wind was against them. Even if one was rich, one would not be able to experience it. Therefore, the 10 tractors made the investing officials feel better, and they felt that the money was well spent, even if the money for the diesel engines was paid out of their dividends and investments. When Li Longji heard about this, he found Zhang Xiaobao and asked if it was possible to ride a tractor on the way back. However, he was strongly opposed by Zhang Xiaobao. "Your Majesty, it's not possible. It's winter now, and the wind is basically from the north, northwest and northeast. If we go back, there will be many opportunities to face the wind. The carriage is too small, and the thermal insulation is not perfect. Even if we extend the exhaust pipe and put it at the back of the carriage, we will not be able to smell the exhaust. The small carriage is not comfortable. Your Majesty, this is not a good thing." Xiaobao told the truth. He would rather take a boat than a tractor. Being on a boat was not a big deal. After all, he had many yachts in the past. Even if he had an antique car, the antique car was not a tractor. It was a Rolls-Royce that was more than 200 years old. It could still drive at a speed of 100 kilometers per hour. It was a symbol of status. What was the point of driving a tractor? Workers, peasants, and soldiers? Wang Wan felt that it was reasonable. She also had an old car, but she would never drive a tractor, which was a symbol of workers, peasants, and soldiers. Workers, peasants, and soldiers sounded good, but they were worthless. In a country, officials were the most respectable. Although the slogan sounded good, it was a lie to say that the working class was the leader, and the workers and peasants alliance was the foundation. There was no democracy. It was a master-slave relationship. The simplest example was that many people in Beijing did not say that they were from Beijing. They said that they were from Sijia City. The architecture was from the Ming Dynasty, but most people said that it was changed from the Qing Dynasty. If they were not slaves, then what were they? Of course, slaves were a positive term in the Qing Dynasty, but later on, if you called others slaves, they would definitely not be happy. If you did not believe it, you could try it. See how many people would scold you for being crazy, and how many people would directly hit you. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan knew the advantages and disadvantages of a tractor, but Li Longji did not. When he heard Zhang Xiaobao's words and saw Wang Wan's expression of agreement, he was very disappointed. "Can't I take a tractor back?" Li Longji asked one last time. "Your Majesty, tractors are most suitable for farming. Anyway, they are bumpy. Your Majesty, do you know why they are called tractors? Because they are powered by a diesel engine, and they move forward by dragging. The shock absorption is not good, and it is not a trailer-type caravan. Can I make a better one for you in the future?" In order not to be implicated, Zhang Xiaobao had to try his best to persuade him. If it was someone else who tried to persuade him, Li Longji would definitely not believe it. However, he had to treat Xiaobao and Cuckoo seriously. After thinking for a while, Li Longji finally gave up and said, "Okay, but what is a caravan?" "Uncle Emperor, I know. It is our house. The one that was made of agarwood in the past, and now it is for my younger brother and sister to use. The one with mercury dynamic balance. It can also float on water. That is the only dynamic balance in the Tang dynasty. Until now there has not been a second one. My brother and sister have done a lot for us." Xiao Bei immediately followed up and gestured as he spoke. Li Longji suddenly remembered. Other people would provide their children with comfortable carriages, many people to look after them, or a large courtyard like the imperial family. However, he did not expect that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan would give their younger brothers and sisters a moving house. Moreover, that house was on land and had a mercury pressure converter under it. As long as the car could go up or down, the house would remain stable. This was the mercury dynamic balance. Until now, there had not been a second one. It was not that they could not make it, but that the investment was too big and not worth it. However, the two of them thought that it was worth it. Just like the first delivery room, Xiao Bei and the others could laugh proudly at the world just because of this. "When will our caravan appear?" Li Longji asked with jealousy. "Wait until the gasoline engine is perfected. Shock absorption is a problem. The 5 methods are not ideal." Zhang Xiaobao was troubled. What he meant by not ideal was that it could not reach his level, not even half of it. Which 5? Li Longji really did not know that there were so many shock absorption methods. Spring plate, shock absorption material, air pressure and hydraulic pressure. We can only use the first 2. The third one is still in the process of being chosen. Wang Wan replied. Chapter 1151. The 10 tractors in the capital ran back and forth every day. The officials who had spent money sat in the bumpy tractors, but they were all calm. The people were not jealous. If they were jealous, they were envious of the officials. Officials could enjoy good things, but they were curious about this new thing. How could it move? They wondered if it was different from a train. In any case, the head in front of the train was very big, and the head in front of them was smaller than the head in front of the train. The rich people looked knowledgeable and said to the people around them, "This is a miniature train. Can't you see that it's smoking? This is a great improvement in Tang's industrial technology. It's free from the constraints of the railway and will be used for transportation in the future. When the officials are done experimenting, I'll buy a few for you to see." A month passed peacefully with various small matters in Tang. After finishing her confinement, Jiang Wang clan and Liu Bei boarded the ship under the reluctance of the people in Luzhou. They set off for the capital along the coast. Xiao Bei and the other 11 children set off 3 days in advance to look for the Si Chao in Quanzhou and check his work record. The main problem was not that he wasted food. The main problem was that he was exposed. According to Xiao Bei, if the other party said something bad about others, they would tell them that there were only those who were not caught, not those who were wrongly accused. If you only wasted food, they would not punish you. However, if you made a big mistake in your work, then don't think of running away. Tang lacked many things, but it did not lack officials. Many people were waiting to fill the position. While waiting for the large group of people behind them, Xiao Bei and the others looked regretful. "What's wrong? You didn't find anything wrong?" Li Longji teased Xiao Bei and asked. Xiao Bei shook his head and sighed regretfully. He said, "I found the problem in his work. It's easy to find an official's mistake." "Did you catch him?" Li Longji was not clear about the situation in Quanzhou. He was very curious. Xiao Bei shook his head again. "No, he has a special understanding of the management of the warehouse, and he did a very good job. At the same time, his work efficiency is so high that it's frightening. We did some research and found that after he was removed, we need at least 5 officials to replace his workload. His warehouse losses were the least, his error rate was the smallest, his material turnover was the most flexible, and the speed of goods entering and leaving was the fastest. He had a wealth of experience in dealing with emergencies. On average, he could embezzle 5,000 strings of cash in half a year. But the method he came up with to store the materials and the coordination of the flow of materials in the warehouse saved him 60,000 strings of cash every half a year." After Li Longji finished listening to Xiao Bei's introduction, he was also stunned. What kind of person was this? He had a lot of abilities, but he also had a lot of problems. He was indeed very difficult to deal with. If they had investigated him with the intention of capturing him, they would naturally have captured him. However, Xiao Bei's group of children wouldn't go so far as to capture him for the sake of capturing him, just like the one who had made the steam engine. "So you're saying that you've returned empty-handed?" Li Longji asked with a smile. Xiao Bei also smiled and said, "No, we have investigated the county magistrate of Quanzhou's Nanning County. We plan to replace him and transfer him to Luoyang to be a registrar." Li Longji was stunned once again. What nonsense was this? The person who should have been investigated had not been thoroughly investigated, and another person had been arrested. If there was something wrong with the arrested county magistrate, why didn't they deal with him? If there was nothing wrong with him, why did they have to remove him? It wasn't just Li Longji. Other than Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, everyone else in the cabin was confused. Empress Wang beckoned to Xiao Bei and pulled him over. She hugged him and asked, "Was the county magistrate of Nanning County corrupt or did he take bribes?" "None of them. He's too innocent. His family is poor, but his 3 children's bodies are still okay. His 2 elders and his 3 wives are all sallow and emaciated. His own clothes are also covered in patches." Xiao Bei replied, "If that's the case, why did you remove him from his post?" Empress Wang asked again. "Because he's stupid. His 3 children are in good health, because they are still in school. The food in school is good, while the others are poor. It's fine if his family doesn't have money, but the commoners in the county aren't doing well. That's a county very close to the port. Back then, we were in full service. Then the quick-witted people in the county came out to earn money and didn't return. They directly settled down in Jinjiang Prefecture and invested money to build schools in their hometowns. When we found out about this situation and found him, he actually had the face to tell us that he had a clear conscience. Little Yuan said that if we were officials here, not to mention the current situation, even if this county was 10 times richer, we would still commit suicide out of shame. Who arranged for him to come here? He's too hateful. Therefore, we had a meeting to discuss it. He's more suited to stay in a prosperous place and isn't suited for development. He should go to Luoyang to be a registrar. It's a flat transfer, but he doesn't have much real power. Following Xiao Bei's words, the other children lowered their heads and sighed. Even Pan and her brother followed suit. In other words, you let go of someone who violated the laws of our great Tang, but stripped a county magistrate of his power, who couldn't find fault with the law. Empress Wang concluded. Xiao Bei nodded gloomily. That's right. A person who made a mistake created more value. What he was greedy for was just a small amount. A person who didn't make a mistake cheated an entire county. According to the story told by my brother and sister, the officials don't fear my strictness, but fear my integrity. The people don't submit to my ability, but submit to my justice. The people don't dare to be slow on their feet, and the honest officials don't dare to bully them. The public gives rise to brightness, and the honest gives rise to prestige. This means that integrity and notarization are very important, because the people want to be rich, but their demands are boundless. The officials want to be rich, but their actions are insatiable. This means that there is no end to people's pursuit. Whether it's the people or the officials, who has less than they have and more than they have. Then what about the 100,000 collisions? Desire is boundless, so fairness and integrity are the most important. Following this, we should thoroughly investigate the official, demote him, and praise the county magistrate. That's because there is no definition of wealth. Only when you compare yourself with others can you know whether you are rich or poor, right? Everyone nodded. Xiao Bei's grandfather, maternal grandfather Wang Ju, was so shocked that he sucked in a cold breath. What kind of knowledge was this? His own family's child could actually be so arrogant. If this spread out, how many scholars in the world would blush with shame? Wang Ju took a few deep breaths and asked his maternal granddaughter, "Then why did you still take care of the county magistrate behind us?" "That's right, why?" Xiao Bei repeated and said, "Because there is another saying. When the country is rich, the people come from afar. When the land is expanded, the people stay. When the granary is solid, etiquette is known. When the food and clothing are sufficient, honor and disgrace is known. You are an official, you are honest and fair. This is your own matter. If the people's lives are not good, they will only submit to you. Will the officials submit to you? If they submit to you, they will not know etiquette. If they submit to you, they will not know honor and disgrace. In fact, this is not wrong. The problem is that you are not Uncle Emperor. Uncle Emperor is fair and honest, but you are a county magistrate. Your parents are officials, and your children are starving to death. What are you? What are you? What are you? You watched your children cry piteously for food, starved to death. Do you dare to pat your chest and say that you have a clear conscience? He also said that the world was bustling with activity, all for profit. The world was bustling with activity, all for profit. Everyone wanted to live a good life. At least they had clothes to wear and food to eat. It was very difficult to make them rebel. We had a day of meetings for this matter. In the end, we came up with a reason. It is not wrong to be fair and honest, but it must be on the basis that the people have enough to eat and wear. Since the two cannot coexist in Xuanzhou, we can only choose the survival instinct of human nature. Thus, we came to the conclusion that we should warn the officials and transfer the county magistrate. We were also helpless, but we decided to do this because we have a clear conscience. Piak 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 piak. At this moment applause sounded. Even the eunuchs and palace maids clapped. The other children lowered their heads in embarrassment, But Xiaobei held her fist and bowed modestly. She had a diplomatic personality. Ha ha ha. Li Longji laughed heartily and praised. Good, you are indeed worthy of being my Tang dynasty's inspector. Even if you are unwilling in your heart, you are willing to take the people of Tang as your root. I will not say right or wrong. I only recognize the result. Transfer the county magistrate away. Chapter 1152. On the second day after Li Longji returned to the capital, a large court meeting was held. All the fifth-rank officials in the capital had to line up at Hanyuan Hall. Light snow was still falling, but there was no snow under the steps of Hanyuan Hall. The snow that had fallen before had long been cleared out. There were even hot water pipes under the steps, which was geothermal. It was a benefit for officials. The officials had been very busy recently. There were many things to do at the end of the year. After this period, it would be the New Year holiday in a few days. They could spend the new year with their families. The busiest person in the crowd was the Minister of Revenue Wang Bei. In the past half a month, he had already worked 6 extra nights at the Ministry of Revenue. He was always busy until dawn, so naturally he couldn't go home. He had lost a few kilograms, but his spirit was good. He had money now, except for the last month, which needed to be calculated in January of next year. All the tax data for the first half of the year had been sorted out. Wang Qing, have you calculated the taxes for the 11th month of this year? Li Longji had just arrived at Hanyuan Palace Hall, and had just sat down when he impatiently asked about the money. Wang Bei glanced at Zhang Zhong beside him. He was in a good mood. He thought that the emperor would ask about the Ministry of Works first, but he didn't expect that he would ask about his own Ministry of Revenue. Money was really important. Zhang Zhong glanced at Wang Bei from the corner of his eyes, but didn't respond. Money was nothing. Don't mention money to me. It's meaningless. Wang Bei clearly felt Zhang Zhong's contempt. He secretly cursed. I'll make you lose all your business tomorrow. Then he stepped out of the line. He was holding a ceremonial tablet in his hand. It was different from the original rectangular one. It was 1 foot long and 1 foot wide. There was a clip on one end, and a small slot on the far right. A pencil was stuck in the slot, and under the pencil was a piece of rubber. On top of the ceremonial tablet was a piece of paper. It was actually a clampboard for office use. It kept pace with the times, and was not as inconvenient as before. Your Majesty, according to the statistics of the Ministry of Revenue, the total tax collected in the first 11 months of this year was 311,669,622 strings of coins, and 400 strings of coins. The expenditure in the first 11 months was 106 million strings of coins. As of yesterday, the Treasury had a total of 367,792,150 strings of coins, and 316 copper coins. After Wang Bei finished reading from the book, he puffed out his chest and raised his head, as if he was the one who earned the money. The eyes of all the civil and military officials lit up. Wang Bei glanced at Zhang Zhong proudly. He could estimate the annual income of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Unless the other party evaded taxes, it would be clear to calculate based on the taxes they paid. The income of the Zhang family and the Wang family this year was 4 million strings less than last year. The only thing that could not be accounted for was the precious candy house, which was a tax-free industry. The other thing that could not be accounted for was the income of the Great Tang Private Bank. The Great Tang Private Bank was owned by the emperor, and it was also taxed. However, the tax was not accurately reported, and the difference in interest rates between the reporting of losses and the collection of payments had to be deducted. Obviously, there was a lot of money involved, and it was His Majesty who ordered it. How could anyone know how much money His Majesty had? Furthermore, there were many expenses that could not be accounted for, such as the cost of espionage. Which official was qualified to know how much the emperor had spent on his espionage system? The Zhang family and the Wang family were probably hiding the same thing. But just like His Majesty, there was no way to investigate. This was because Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had sent many spies abroad, and they could not afford to spend less. But no matter what, the normal tax return was indeed lower than last year. It was just that they had not found the time to investigate why. Zhang Zheng still ignored Wang Bei. He could guess what Wang Bei was thinking. Wasn't it just that the income today was lower? That was right. Otherwise, the great Tang would not have so much money. A portion of the family's money was used to expand the private army, especially in the area of weapons. Whether it was the improvement of weapons or the consumption of ammunition, they were all money. After all, they were going to war, so they had to have more reserves. Seated not too far away, Li Longji saw Wang Bei's actions, but he didn't care. The main reason was that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't care. Alright, our court will be able to do many things next year. All departments, calculate the budget for your work, so that we can allocate more money. In a good mood, Li Longji began to distribute the money. Your Majesty, there's something that this subject doesn't understand. Why is our tax return double compared to last year? A young general from the Bureau of Military Personnel, who used to be a border guard, and had only been promoted last month, due to his outstanding performance in the military sandbox examination, mustered up his courage, and stood up to ask. A few days ago, he heard from others that last year's income was 130 million strings of cash, and he knew that it was easy for the sudden increase in income to become worthless. For the sake of his brothers in the military, he had to ask. As soon as he spoke, he realized that the entire Hanyuan Palace was silent, and he couldn't help but feel even more worried. After a few moments of silence, Li Longji looked at the officials below and softly sighed. He turned on the microphone and said to Zhang Juling, "Official Zhang, you speak." Zhang Juling's expression was very unnatural. Back then, his family was in Guangzhou, and that place produced preserved vegetables. His family had also been involved in the business, and in the first half of the year, the officials still had the income from the land as their salary. Now that he had handed over the land, he naturally had less of an excuse to sell his family's produce. However, his family's business didn't stop, and they continued to sell preserved vegetables, earning quite a bit of money. Now that His Majesty had called out his name, Zhang Juling had no choice but to stand up. He looked at the faces of the other officials, and they all lowered their heads and entered a meditative state. Yang Zhuofeng, this matter is very simple. Zhang Juling loudly said to the military official who had asked the question. This person was surnamed Yang, a member of the Imperial Guard of the Left. He used to be in the Thousand Bull Manor, and the authority of this official had been very small for a period of time. Now that the military service system had been changed, and the Great Tang's economic strength had increased, more military power was required to maintain this position. The military official surnamed Yang said nothing, continuing to listen attentively. Listen to me one by one. Zhang Juling took a deep breath and organized his words. Last year, the tax rate of our dynasty was set low, and the official's salary was more based on the output of the land. This year, His Majesty was wise and went out to inspect the land road construction. Along the way, he heard the advice of a capable official and changed the tax rate of our dynasty and the official's salary. As for the tax, the commercial side has increased by nearly 5 times. During the trial period, there are not too many people who are willing to pay the tax. In addition, the officials are getting their salaries. While they spend their money, they also promote the flow of goods and materials, which forms a part of the tax. Therefore, our dynasty's revenue has increased. Furthermore, after many years of hard work, the Agriculture Temple has distributed a large number of crop seeds this spring, and the output of the land has increased significantly. This year, there are no major events around the dynasty, and the people are living in peace. The livestock production has also increased. Zhang Juling forced himself to finish his words and kept wiping his sweat. The military official surnamed Yang raised his head and rolled his eyes. He thought for a while and nodded, admitting that this would increase the tax rate. When all the merchants in Great Tang agreed, it wouldn't be a problem to double the tax rate. Oh, I know, but I don't know which capable official it is. Can he make a decision in the court? What if he goes on a business trip? The military official surnamed Yang was serious. Who would be so awesome as to directly influence His Majesty's decisions? Zhang Jieling glared at him. General Yang, who do you think it is? Oh, I am not too sure. I won't ask. The person who came up with this plan is truly capable. Your Majesty is wise. The military official surnamed Yang guessed, who it was in just a few breaths' time. He was clearly not confident enough. You know how to be afraid of the contempt of all the officials? Li Longji didn't mention the names of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. In any case, officials of a certain rank would know who could easily influence Great Tang's decisions. Next topic. Li Longji leaned back and waited. He didn't feel comfortable with the increased tax rate. He was exchanging benefits. The railways in the country hadn't been fully connected yet, and the trains hadn't been fully delivered yet. The carriages for the steam engines had already been distributed, and the salaries of the officials were more than 2 times higher than the current income of the farmland. If not for Xiao Bao's astounding calculations, which would change the railway transportation system and make the land more valuable, I would have been angered to death this time. Li Longji thought as he looked at the officials in the court with an unfriendly gaze. How many officials didn't have private property? When it came to disaster relief, no one was willing to fork out money. But when it came to investing in the Ministry of Works, there was already money. This was especially so after the tractor carried the investment officials around the streets of the capital. Why weren't you all so enthusiastic when the national treasury was low? In Xiao Bao's words, it was because your table manners were too unsightly. It's good that you all took out 100 strings of coins to pretend that I can't deal with you all. Why don't you all invest? I'll get Xiao Bao to deal with you all. While Li Longji was thinking about how to take revenge on the officials, the topics in the court were passed one after another without any hindrance. The national treasury was rich, and many of the topics were about money. The wealthy Li Longji felt that any problem that could be solved with money wasn't a problem at all. When it was almost noon, Li Longji realized something. No one mentioned anything about Great Tang's infrastructure. There was a solution for the railways, but what about the roads? It wasn't a good thing to have too much spare money in the national treasury. It would depreciate. Thus, he looked at Zhang Zhong and asked, Minister Zhang, does the Ministry of Works have any topics to discuss? Zhang Zhong shook his head and said, Your Majesty, the Ministry of Works doesn't lack money now. The Ministry of Works has produced many new chemical products. Other than the research costs, we still have some surplus. For example, soap, toothpaste, fertilizer, and kerosene lamps are selling well. There are also candles and shoes with rubber soles. As he spoke, Zhang Zhong finally looked at Wang Bei. Last year, the Ministry of Works needed money for its research and was severely hindered by the Ministry of Revenue. His son and daughter-in-law were furious and took revenge on the other party. However, in the end, it was better to rely on oneself than to rely on others. According to his son, their technology wasn't good enough, so they could only use the local method to produce. It wasted a lot of resources and caused a lot of pollution. However, during special times, they had to treat it differently. Wang Bei lowered his head and looked at the document. He was very engrossed and didn't know what good story was written in it. What about the roads and infrastructure? Li Longji ignored the conflict between the officials and asked about the things he wanted to know the most. As for the roads, this official is still waiting for the officials to report. Once the reports are completed, this official can withdraw the funds from the Ministry of Revenue. The Ministry of Revenue will review the funds and then allocate the funds through the Great Tang Bank. Zhang Zhong answered truthfully. Li Longji nodded. Yes, the money needed to be paid by the Ministry of Revenue, or by him, or the head of the Secretariat. Although it was said that the Ministry of Works should be in charge, the Ministry of Works didn't have any real authority in the area of infrastructure. The Ministry of Revenue could bypass the Ministry of Works and directly negotiate with the local officials about the allocation of funds. Of course, the Ministry of Works could also bypass the Ministry of Revenue and directly allocate funds to the local construction management department. This was because the Ministry of Works had its own money. It was just that Zhang Zhong didn't allocate the funds. Li Longji's expression became serious as he said to Wang Bei, Next year should be a special year for transportation. We don't want to see key supplies blocked because of money. This official understands, Wang Bei replied loudly. In his heart, he looked down on Zhang Zhong even more. The other party was too immoral to point him out, and let the emperor give him a warning. Chapter 1153. After the court session, I will send a report to the officials in charge of construction and order them to send over the documents required by the local government. I will definitely lead the officials of the Ministry of Revenue to examine them carefully. After Wang Ku agreed, he added another sentence. The other officials understood what Wang Bei meant. He wanted his subordinates to ask for money directly from the Ministry of Revenue. When it came to construction, the Ministry of Revenue could intervene. The environment was different, so the price of the materials for building bridges and paving roads was naturally different. It was difficult to determine how much a cart of stones was worth. The most reasonable price for the Tang dynasty was naturally the Zhengzheng construction group of the Zhang family and the Wang family. However, it was unable to monopolize all the businesses. At the same time, because it was too reasonable, some people did not intend to use it. If the price was reasonable, there would be no extra money to bribe. Thinking that Wang Bei could gain many benefits from this, some of the officials started to get jealous. The main reason was that the money invested in the new group of Ministry of Works had been lost this year. The only gain was sitting in a very bumpy car during work and off work. Zhang Zhong had taken out the accounts for them to look at. The records were very clear. The sales were good, especially for toothpaste and soap. Besides being in charge of sales, the group was also in charge of research and development. The problem was research and development. The group did not research and develop the toothpaste and soap that they sold. Instead, they bought the products from another department of the Ministry of Works. The purchase price was very high. The reason was that the development of toothpaste and soap had cost a lot. The new group did not research the products that they sold. Instead, they researched the application technology of diesel engines, such as tractors and generators. At night, all the roads in the capital had electric lights. This technology was first bought from the Ministry of Works, and then redesigned to consume less diesel. However, after generating electricity, they did not earn money. This was because the new group did not produce diesel engines, and did not have diesel, let alone electric wires and lights. They had to buy them. Thus another problem arose. Who would pay for the lighting of the various roads in Chang'an at night? They did not care about the people walking on the road, nor the shops along the road. They could only pay for it. The finance took out money for the new group. The new group calculated the price of each kilowatt-hour of electricity and bought the electricity meters made by the Ministry of Works. They installed them for the rich families free of charge. Otherwise, they would not use them. It all seemed quite reasonable. After the calculation of the electricity price was done, there was a problem when it was used. The generator had to continuously generate electricity, but the electricity it generated was not always used. This resulted in a situation where the supply exceeded the demand, and the generator lost money. In a situation where investment and output were not proportional, the money spent on selling toothpaste, soap and rubber-soled shoes was made up to maintain a balance. This was the result of the Ministry of Works kindly leasing the power grid. When the new group laid the power grid, they did not have enough money to buy the wires from the Ministry of Works, so they could only borrow money from the Tang Bank. Now the new group's power generation plant and power grid were leased to the Ministry of Works. The money received and the profits from selling other products could be used to repay the loan from the bank. The only consolation was that they had a car to take to and from work. The officials who did not understand the details still followed the trend and invested money. Even those who had invested money before had no choice but to continue to invest money. Investing money could still maintain the operation of the group and wait for the day when they earned money to receive dividends. If they did not invest, they would go bankrupt. It was equivalent to drinking poison to quench thirst. Everyone was not rich, so they were naturally jealous of Wang Bei's intervention in the construction of the local fortifications. They all started to plan how to get benefits from this. Li Longji, who was sitting at the top, also knew about the little schemes of the officials below, but he could not do anything about it. He looked at Zhang Zhong and wanted to see if Zhang Zhong would object. The others who were with Wang Bei were worried that Zhang Zhong would seize power, so they watched Zhang Zhong with Li Longji. Unexpectedly, Zhang Zhong actually nodded and agreed. That's fine. Minister Wang will lead the colleagues in the Ministry of Revenue to work hard. A small portion of people were relieved, but the majority were puzzled. Was Zhang Zhong stupid? Didn't his son, Zhang Xiaobao, tell him about the inner workings? You really agreed? Wang Bei couldn't believe that things would go so smoothly, so he asked in surprise. Of course. Oh, speaking of repairing bridges and roads, I just thought of something. My Ministry of Works has recently come up with a new model. According to the different environments, there are different inspection methods and construction materials used. If it's hot, we'll use cement, and if it's cold, we'll use asphalt. Each region can purchase the materials from the Ministry of Works, and we'll examine them according to the actual conditions of the ground. Zhang Zhong said seriously. Ah! Wang Bei exclaimed in surprise. If they followed Zhang Zhong's words, they would not be able to cut corners once they were examined. With the Ministry of Works keeping an eye on them, who would dare to do such a thing? Can't we not use cement and asphalt? Sure, but the ratio of service life to price has to be similar to that of cement and asphalt. Let me tell your Majesty a piece of good news. This year, my Ministry of Works has produced more than 3,000 diesel engines, and under the guidance of Regional Governor Zhang and Deputy Regional Governor Wang, we've turned them into small road rollers. Zhang Zhong still had a serious expression on his face. Wang Bei faintly felt that something was wrong. He swallowed and said, The road rollers are used to flatten the road? Minister Wang is indeed amazing. You guessed correctly. Zhang Zhong raised his thumb and gestured at Wang Bei. This road roller is easy to use. It uses iron rollers as the wheels. Due to the problem with the diesel engine's power, it can't be made too big. However, it's definitely not a problem to flatten a normal road. For example, if there are layers of stones and sand, it's too strenuous to push the rollers with human and animal strength. Once the road roller goes up, the road will be flat. For example, one section of the road is not made of good stones, and the other section is made of good stones. After the road roller goes over, you can see that the road is uneven. It's very interesting. Interesting. This is a good thing. Li Longji praised. Wang Bei was dumbfounded. If they were to do it according to Zhang Zhong's words, how could they cut corners? Normally, when they were building roads, they could just put some crop stalks under the sand. It was impossible to flatten it with human strength. But once the road roller went up, a large part of the road would be dented. Minister Zhang, is the cost of using the road roller very high? I'm afraid that the place can't afford to use it. Wang Bei wanted to stop it. It's free. There's too much oil produced this year. There's almost no place to put diesel, gasoline, asphalt, and so on. Because it's not easy to store liquefied gas. It's used to generate electricity when it's produced. It's just nice that it's connected to the power grid. Zhang Zhong said to Li Longji with a smile. Wang Bei's eyes widened. He angrily asked, Since there's no place to put diesel, why is it so expensive to sell it to our new group? Because the production cost is high. Zhang Zhong stopped smiling and answered honestly. Since the production cost is high, why are you giving the road roller to others for free? Wang Bei asked again. Because it can't be put down. Zhang Zhong explained. Wang Bei blinked. If it can't be put down, why not let the new group use it for free? That's a commercial action. A commercial action considers cost and profit. It's the Ministry of Works' function to provide for infrastructure construction. It considers the people's livelihood. If there's a fee, it should be paid by the government. Then, it should be supplemented by the tax revenue generated by the increase in trade. The problem is your Ministry of Revenue giving my Ministry of Works money? Actually, I'm sacrificing a department's income to promote long-term tax revenue for your Ministry of Revenue. This is the contribution of the entire Ministry of Works officials, technicians, and production staff. When Zhang Zhong spoke, he raised his head 45 degrees to look at the sky. His expression was so heroic, so great, and so touching. Then let me ask. You all have been contributing. Where did your money come from? Wang Bei did not think that Zhang Zhong's Ministry of Works staff were wronged at all. Burning newspapers at the grave. That was a lie. Zhang Zhong raised his sleeve and wiped his eyes. He lowered his head and said softly, "We're working with other commercial groups. Not everyone can use electric lights. Candles and kerosene lamps are much simpler. As for paraffin, you can't do without it. As long as oil is processed, it will appear. It's very annoying, so we just make it and sell it." In other words, your Ministry of Works and the commercial group you're working with have been making money. Why is it that the group we invested in has no money to make and is always on the verge of losing money? We have no choice but to continue investing in order to not let it go bankrupt. You just said that your liquefied gas power generation is connected to the power grid. Is that the power grid of our group? Did you give us dividends for the money you sold? If I remember correctly, the new group is the first industry that your son participated in that lost money, right? Your Majesty, your investment has also gone down the drain. Wang Bei finally caught Zhang Zhong's weakness. As the emperor had taken out the most money, he had to mention it. Li Longji waved his hand indifferently. "I don't care." Wang Bei was speechless. He could only stare at Zhang Zhong. Zhang Zhong sighed and said, "Yes, it means that my son Xiao Bao is not completely invincible. There are times when he fails. The group's losses are accounted for. I didn't embezzle. The power grid is rented by the Ministry of Works. The liquefied gas power generation is not collected from the grid. Moreover, it is connected to the grid, but it doesn't directly generate profits from electricity. Instead, the Ministry of Works continues to invest in the capital to improve the power grid. Perhaps this year's Spring Festival will see results. I can prove that Minister Zhang is right." Li Bai, the director of the Ministry of Revenue, stepped forward and agreed. He had just been promoted a month ago. He was 5th ranked and could stand in court. Even though he was busy with work, he still persisted in publishing a book of poetry and made a lot of money. "You go to the side." Wang Bei glared at the immortal poet and asked Zhang Zhong, "Since it can't make money, why did the Ministry of Works connect the liquefied gas power generation to the grid? Where did the electricity go? We have so much liquefied gas that we can't use it all up. Of course we have to use it to generate electricity. We also sell some of it to people who don't like to burn firewood, coal, and methane. We can't sell the electricity, so we use it to pump water. We built a big reservoir on the mountain in the eastern suburbs of the capital. There used to be only a few streams there, but now it has become a lake." Zhang Zhong pointed to the east and explained to Wang Bei. He then turned to Li Longji and said, "Your Majesty, with that artificial lake, we can generate some electricity when there is no electricity. When there is a shortage of water, we can use the water to irrigate. It is winter now and there is ice on the surface. Many people go there to skate. Plus we have fish, so the income is not bad." "Good, very good. We don't waste resources," Li Longji praised. Wang Bei couldn't take it anymore. He raised his voice and asked, "Minister Zhang, you are using the power grid to make money. Why do you say that there is no profit? Where are the dividends of the group? When we make money, we also spend money. We break even," Zhang Zhong replied confidently. "How do you spend the money?" Wang Bei asked again. "You need land to build the lake, but you don't need to spend money on the land?" Zhang Zhong asked back. "Who owns that land?" Wang Bei asked again. "The Ministry of Works." Zhang Zhong's voice wasn't soft either. "Your Ministry of Works rented the power grid of the group to generate electricity and built the lake on the mountain of the Ministry of Works. How can you lose the money you earned?" Wang Bei looked around and waited for the officials who had also invested money to agree. The Ministry of Works paid rent to rent the power grid. The Ministry of Works rented the mountain of the Ministry of Works independently. Didn't the Ministry of Works pay for the technology of the new group? Since they paid, why didn't the Ministry of Works rent the other Ministry of Works? "I break even. I have accounts." Zhang Zhong didn't wait for the others to speak before he replied. "But what about the subsequent profits? That is the business of the other Ministry of Works. What does it have to do with your new group?" "Master Wang, forget it. We can't win against them. Their son is Zhang Xiaobao, an existence that is above the list of billionaires. Just like what you said just now, other than the losses of the new group, have you ever seen him lose money? Someone beside him pulled Wang Bei and persuaded him softly. Wang Bei's eyes were red. He pursed his lips and said with grievance, "Didn't Zhang Xiaobao say that he wouldn't play tricks on the people of Tang dynasty? There are so many people overseas. Why do you have to bully us? He said that he wouldn't play tricks on the people. How did we stop the Ministry of Works? We forced Zhang Zhong to not be able to eat well and sleep well." Xiao Bei and the group of children retaliated at that time. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't move. They were waiting for this moment. Sai, who said that the two of them had become kind. The person who persuaded him also had a sad expression. Li Longji, who was sitting there, also felt that Wang Bei and the others were quite pitiful. He sighed and said to Zhang Zhong, "Are there a lot of fish in the lake? It's the new year. You should eat and play, right?" Zhang Zhong understood and quickly said, "That's right. Other than the fish, there are also freshwater crabs. They are all made into drunken crabs. Minister Wang, I will send 500 pounds of crabs to your family first. I will also give you 1,000 ice skating coupons. It's free and you can play as much as you want. Next year, we will continue to work hard and make the group as profitable as possible. What do you think? Didn't the Ministry of Works say that there are electric heaters? It's colder this year." Wang Bei knew that it was useless to force them, so he could only settle for the next best thing. "Yes, each family will be given 10 of them first. The electricity will be waived. Consider it a bonus." Zhang Zhong agreed. Chapter 1154. What else do you want? Li Longji didn't care about the conflict between Zhang Zhong and Wang Ku, as long as it didn't affect the work of each department. He believed that Xiao Bao had thought of this when he was maintaining the new group's balance. He didn't want to make money or lose money. Losing money had a great impact on one's mood. The officials looked at each other and didn't say anything. It was the end of the year, and everything had been arranged. Today was the last court meeting of the year. After the meeting, they would go back to their places to tidy up. After work, they would participate in various activities during the holidays. Since there's nothing else, can the New Year's benefits be distributed? Li Longji looked at Wang Ku. The Ministry of Revenue had allocated money. Of course, each department also had extra benefits. Wang Hua, who had been quarreling with Zhang Zhong, quickly replied, "Your Majesty, from the day before yesterday until today, there have been all kinds of daily necessities sent from the supermarket. Tomorrow and the next 2 days, on the 28th and 29th of the 12th lunar month, there will also be mountain and sea dry goods sent from the northern part of Hebei province, including pine nuts and other snacks. The Ministry of Revenue has given each official an extra 10 to 100 strings of cash." Speaking of this, the officials looked much better, and so did Wang Ku. His family had received more than 2,000 strings of cash from the day before yesterday. It wasn't that the quantity was large, but that the quality of the goods was good. Li Bai, who was standing below, had received more than 300 strings of cash. Hearing Wang could take the credit for it, he muttered angrily, "What does the supermarket in Hebei province have to do with the Ministry of Revenue? If it were me, I would even stop the New Year's gifts. You ungrateful wretch. The Ministry of Works and the Sidong Temple should also distribute something." Li Longji looked at Zhang Zhong. Yes, Zhang Zhong agreed without hesitation. He was thinking about what the Ministry of Works could offer. Of course, he had to consider the light industrial products. What the Western Agriculture Temple could offer was nothing more than various crops, such as popcorn. Not all fruits could be turned into seeds, and those that couldn't could only be eaten. Li Longji didn't say anything else and waved his hand. Gao Lishir called for the court to be dismissed, and all the officials retreated. Li Longji, on the other hand, continued to sit there without moving. Originally, he should have left first, but today, he was too lazy to move. Listening to the whistling of the north wind, he didn't feel cold at all. He sat there looking at the sky, and no one could guess what he was thinking. When all the officials had left, Gao Lishir asked softly, "Your Majesty?" "Ah, "Oh, how has Honger been recently?" Li Longji withdrew his gaze from the sky and asked. He was asking about Li Hong, the current crown prince. His Highness should be studying in the Chongwen Library. In the past year, His Highness likes to read miscellaneous books, and has basically put down history books. When His Majesty entered the capital, the Eastern Palace sent word that His Majesty was studying political economy before the Crown Prince came to welcome him. There are also functions of local officials in economic macro control and principles for the ideological construction of the army that Cuckoo specially wrote for His Highness. There are also the relationship between the adjustment of bank interest, the increase and decrease of reserve rate, and the contradiction between expenditure of infrastructure and financial revenue that Xiaobao specially wrote for His Highness. Gao Lisher's reply was very straightforward. It looked like he usually paid a lot of attention to the Eastern Palace. Li Longji was confused. When he heard Gao Lisher say that Honger didn't read history books, he thought that it was because his son, the Crown Prince, didn't want to be emperor. Only history books could understand the rise and fall of dynasties. However, when he heard the latter part, Li Longji realized that something was wrong. His son had gone to read political economy, and then there were the 4 books that Cuckoo and Xiaobao had specially written for him. Hearing the names of the books, it seemed to be related to the things that the two of them usually told him when he interacted with them. What did they mean? Gao Lisher knew why the emperor was surprised, but he couldn't do anything about it. He couldn't see through what his godson and daughter-in-law were thinking. The two of them always gave others the feeling that they were looking at flowers in the fog and the moon in the water. They clearly existed, but they were so unrealistic. The two of them didn't seem to care about anything, but they also cared about everything. The two of them would occasionally be angry about domestic and foreign matters, but they had never been in a helpless situation where they couldn't think of a solution. The two of them were inseparable, and had always been so happy. It could be said that it was a miracle in the world. Did it really have to be seen as that thing said? It was that everything was possible, but it was like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, and a shadow. It was like fog and lightning. It should be seen as it was. It gave others the feeling that it wasn't real. Now he was teaching the Crown Prince. I'll summon the two of them to come over and ask. Gao Lisher planned to call Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan over to see what they were planning to do. Forget it. Let's not talk about this during the new year. Li Longji was still unconvinced. He wanted to guess, and wait until he really couldn't guess. Li Longji rose. He didn't sit in his carriage and strolled inside. As he walked, a young eunuch hurried over. It was Luo Bin. He ran to Gao Lisher's ear and whispered. As Luo Bin spoke, Gao Lisher's expression became more and more interesting. When Luo Bin finished, Gao Lisher met Li Longji's questioning gaze, and didn't know what to say. What's wrong? Li Longji took the initiative to speak. Gao Lisher took 2 steps forward, and moved closer to Li Longji. He whispered, apart from His Highness the Crown Prince, who's reading the book that Xiaobao and Cuckoo wrote for him, the other princes are reading it as well. Some of them are studying natural science and architecture. Even the princesses have many things to do. For example, they're studying fashion design, proofreading newspaper articles, and studying education in Great Tang. It's no wonder Xiaobao and Cuckoo are so busy every day when they're in Luzhou. As it turns out, they're secretly writing. Huh. Li Longji blinked. What do you mean? I don't know. Also, when we're in Luzhou, they're in contact with the foreign officials from time to time. They're holding tea parties, lectures, and so on. Gao Lisher continued to talk about what Luo Bin had mentioned earlier. Li Longji's expression turned interesting as well. He asked, why didn't anyone from the censorate mention this? That's because the people from the censorate are involved as well. It's the Anti-Corruption and Incorruptible Cooperation Association, organized by Princess Tang Chong. During the meeting, she emphasized that we can't relax in investigating corruption under the current circumstances. In the end, she treated the people from the censorate to a meal of fried paste noodles. Gao Lisher continued to tell Li Longji what he had heard. Princess Tang Chong is a girl. Why is she in charge of the censorate? Isn't she married to Shuexiu? Why isn't she at home taking care of her husband and children? Did the officials from the censorate go to her just because she looked for them? Li Longji's expression darkened. Gao Lishir waved at Luo Bin. He waited for Luo Bin to come over before he repeated what he had said. Luo Bin hastily replied, "She didn't recruit them. She tricked them into going. The princess sent someone to look for an official from the censorate. He said that the princess has information on many officials' corruption. She also reprimanded the censorate for being incompetent and ordered them to investigate it." "Did they find anything after they went there?" Li Longji asked. "Yes. The information was provided by the former Minister of Revenue, Lord Bai, and the others. It's all trivial matters," Luo Bin replied. "This bunch of old officials, taking advantage of the fact that I can't do anything, they are getting more and more overboard. What kind of intelligence personnel are they forming? Are they trying to rebel?" "Lishir, I've been away for less than a year. Why do I feel that everything is in a mess when I come back?" Li Longji realized that things were getting out of his control. What were his sons and daughters trying to achieve by jumping up and down? There were also old fellows who had already retired. They were making him restless. Luo Bin listened and thought for a while before he said, "Your Majesty, Lord Bai and the others aren't spying on the Tang Empire's officials. They are collecting information on the Tang Empire's economy. For example, the prices of various places. Which crops have increased in yield this year? Where there are new pests and diseases in the wheat? How to prevent maggots from forming when the paste is being made, and so on. I've learned that it was Xiaobao's idea. He said that their intelligence system is too poor and is not suitable for spying on the military and politics. It's better for them to do economic work. Once the information is collected, they can do business or sell it to merchants and earn money to support their families." In the end, when they were collecting economic information, some local officials were actually blindly directing the planting of crops, so they collected the information along the way. At that time, Your Majesty wasn't in the capital, so they handed it over to the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince saw that they were all small officials and didn't have any major problems, so he casually threw them aside. I don't know how they ended up in Princess Tang Chang's hands. It might have been sent out by a palace maid or eunuch under someone's orders. Luo Bin didn't directly point it out, but hinted that only Cuckoo seemed to be able to direct people in the palace without being exposed. Li Longji exhaled a white breath and stood there pondering. After a while he said, "In other words, all my children, as long as they are not too young, are in contact with foreign officials and looking for various reasons to hold meetings? Xiaobao and Cuckoo are behind this. Why didn't the two of them tell me first? I thought they wanted to give Your Majesty a surprise." Gao Lishir helped to speak. "Right now, I'm not surprised, I'm frightened. Good fellow, it's not enough to keep them busy. All the princesses and princes who find foreign officials will be fined half a year's allowance. Tell them to ask whoever ordered them." Li Longji appeared very depressed. Luo Bin was very afraid. He wasn't sure if there was going to be another big purge in the palace. Gao Lishir wasn't worried. He knew that the emperor had too many clues and couldn't guess Xiaobao and Cuckoo's goal. He was afraid of losing again. If they kept losing, no one would be happy. "Your Majesty, I think it would be better to take advantage of the new year to gather all the princes and princesses and ask them one by one to see what they've done. After that we can test them. Perhaps we can guess the truth behind some things," Gao Lishir suggested, reminding the emperor that he could use this method to figure out Xiaobao and Cuckoo's thoughts and make targeted responses to win. Li Longji looked up at the sky and rolled his eyes. "Don't be in a hurry to find them all. Send someone down to find out what meetings they've held and what departments they've invited. If we don't check, they'll talk nonsense and fool us. Your Majesty is wise. Go quickly." Gao Lishir habitually cupped his hands and turned his head to order Luo Bin. Luo Bin ran off. He had no choice. The ground was terrazzo and too slippery. It was mainly because his skills had improved. If he wanted to pave the courtyard, he didn't need to use marble. Marble was very expensive. After Luo Bin's figure disappeared, Li Longji rubbed his face that was cold from the north wind and ordered, "Prepare the carriage and go to Zhang Wang's manor. Call the crown prince to me first. I'm not in the capital, but the capital has been messed up by him. If he doesn't give me an explanation, I'll give him one. Chapter 1155. In the Eastern Palace's Chongwen Hall, Crown Prince Li Hong was reading the relationship between the interest adjustment of the bank, the increase and decrease of the reserve rate, and consumer behavior. Beside him were the four treasures of the study. When he saw a certain part, he had an idea of his own. He picked up the brush and started writing on the paper. There were 2 palace maids and 2 eunuchs beside him. The 4 of them were in charge of serving tea and water to the crown prince. In the past, they would have to look after the brazier. Now that there was heating, it saved them a lot of trouble. While the crown prince was reading, the 4 of them were not idle either. Everyone was holding a book in their hands and reading. They had to read. Nowadays, it was getting more and more difficult for the servants. Those who were uneducated were always bullied. There was no one in the Eastern Palace who was illiterate. Those who were illiterate were all chased out. At this rate, in another 10 or 20 years, the hotel's waiter would have to be at least a jinshi. The 4 of them had no choice but to continue working hard in order to stay by the crown prince's side and earn more money. One of the eunuchs flipped a page of the book and frowned. He asked the palace maid beside him, "Why is it so difficult for a product to become a luxury item? Everyone should be able to see it, right? No one is a fool, right?" The palace maid thought for a moment and said, "Wrong." Crown Prince Li Hong heard it and turned his head. Expensive is only one of the characteristics of luxury items. Luxury items must have a certain status and symbolize a lot of things. They are rare, but most people think that they have a connotation. The artificial color and its own luxury, plus the details of the service behind it, are the reasons why it is a luxury item. Of course, the aesthetic point of view of the superstructure and the identity of the previous owner are also very important. For example, the brush I use is a luxury item. The brush itself is not bad, and my identity has given it a unique color. Take it and send it to the auction house outside. When the weather gets cold, sell it, and let's eat hot pot in the Eastern Palace. Ah! The eunuchs looked at the brush and was shocked. "Your Highness, are you really selling it?" "Yes, I'll sell it along with the brush's credit card. If the buyer spoils it, they can take it to the stationery shop opened by the Zhang family and Wang family. It will be free for life. These are the details of the service. They sent 30 of them this year. I can't use them all." Li Hong stuffed the brush into the young eunuch's hand and turned back to continue reading. The little eunuch was very happy and said with a smile, "Thank you, Your Highness. Your Highness knows so much. The sale of one brush is enough for the entire Eastern Palace to eat hot pot for half a month. Is the reputation of the producer very important?" "That's right. It's a brand. You can't create a brand just by hyping it up once," Li Hong said casually. The little eunuch put away the book, put away the pen and the credit card, and ran out happily. 5 seconds later, there was a sound outside, and he rubbed his nose and hurried back. "Your Highness, His Majesty has summoned you. He's waiting at the palace gates." When Li Hong left the Eastern Palace, he kept thinking about why his father wanted to see him. He recalled what he had done recently and found that there was nothing wrong. The only problem was that he was in a good mood. Li Hong knew that he had been scared out of his wits a while ago. With the birth of his younger brother, Li Jun, and the care of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, his position was not stable. He was not the only one who thought so. Others also thought so. So what if he was the crown prince? He could be abolished. How could he be compared to Li Jun, the legitimate prince? Fortunately, when he was worrying about whether to take the initiative to retire or fight to the death, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sent a lot of books, and the content of the books was related to governing the country. It was definitely not the kind of books that were read for entertainment. Most importantly, his father was not in the capital during this time. Although he still needed to send a telegram to inquire about important matters, for small matters, he could gather the ministers in the Eastern Palace to discuss. Through the discussion, many ministers understood that he was not so incompetent as the crown prince. As long as he did not make any mistakes, even if he lost his position one day, he would not be too miserable. After all, He had learned a lot of skills to govern the country. At the same time, in order to not be caught by others, he usually did not go anywhere. If he did go out, he would go to other businesses opened by the savant's restaurant in Zhangxiaobao. No one could say that he was there to scheme, right? Who did not know that the spies of the Zhangxiaobao and Wang family were involved in these businesses? Later on, he listened to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and pulled the other brothers to do things together. Even the princess participated. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also helped to persuade the other princes and princesses to take the initiative to organize various activities. It looked like they were dispersing his authority as the crown prince, but they were also making him not special and sharing the risk. It could be said that they had put a lot of thought into it. Xiaobao and Cuckoo are both good people, Li Mu muttered. His gaze had already landed on his father, who was waiting at the palace gates. He hurriedly took 2 steps forward and approached. Imperial father, you are looking for your son? Let's go to Zhang Wang's residence together. We have something to ask Xiaobao and Cuckoo. Li Longji sized up his son. Seeing that his son's complexion was not bad, and that he was full of energy, he was quite satisfied with his son's self-confidence. After calling Li Hong into the imperial carriage, Li Longji closed his eyes and didn't say anything, allowing the carriage to sway slightly. Li Hong couldn't speak casually, and the pressure was great. As the carriage rose and fell, his heart was also in a state of turmoil. After a short and long period of time, Li Hong finally entered Zhang Wang's residence. The manor was bustling with noise and excitement. Xiaobei led a large group of children running around. There were a total of 30 of them, and they were all 1 or 2 years old. From time to time, a child would fall down and cry a few times before getting up and continuing to run around. Fortunately, the ground was paved with fine sand, and there were fan-like things in the surroundings that blew out waves of hot air. Li Longji was also confused. This was Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Manners were going to open a kindergarten in the residence? Xiaobei, what are you doing? Why didn't you greet us when you saw us? Li Longji was almost knocked over by Xiaobei, so he supported the sweaty Xiaobei and asked. Xiaobei really didn't pay attention to who had come. He raised his head and said with a smile, "Hello, Uncle Emperor. They are all children of my family's Zhuangzi. It's the new year, and they know that the family head can't go back. So my grandparents came to the capital under the protection of selected villagers. They know that the residence doesn't lack anything, so they brought a group of children over for us to see. My older brother and older sister have something to do, so I'll lead them to play first. Uncle Emperor, you can walk around as you please, I'll continue." After saying this, Xiaobei called out to the children and ran off again. Li Longji nodded after hearing Xiaobei's words. He felt that Zhang Wang's villagers in Zhuangzi didn't have much to take, so it was better to bring a group of children over. It was festive, and the population was flourishing. Then where did your older brother and older sister go? Li Longji asked. Xiaobei didn't even turn his head as he shouted, "They're somewhere else. They're in the magistrate's hall at the south gate of the east courtyard." Xiaohai ran over and answered for his younger sister. "Your Majesty, this way." Gao Lishir was leading the way, and there were people in front of him leading the way. In fact, there was no need to ask. How could there be no one to receive the emperor when he came? As a result, the 2 families all came out, including the villagers. Some bowed, some kowtowed, and some kowtowed. Li Longji had no choice but to stop and exchange a few pleasantries before continuing to walk towards the magistrate's hall. After walking for about 10 minutes, they finally arrived at the south gate. It could be seen how big the 2 families' residences were. In fact, because there was no direct path, although it wasn't a one-step view, it was still enough to make people feel uncomfortable. When they arrived at the magistrate's hall, Li Longji lightened his footsteps and signaled for the others not to make too much noise. After entering through the corner gate, he saw a room with the words Magistrate's Hall written on it. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, he could see that there were many people sitting inside. At the very front was Wang Wan. At this moment, she was holding a pointer and pointing it at the blackboard. Li Longji stood by the window and listened to the sound coming from the ventilated window. The advantage of being an official is that they can listen to what their masters say and teach. The disadvantage is that they can easily become dogmatic, which is not conducive to innovation, and is always resistant to new things. As the country's basic education gradually improves, the advantage of being an official's descendant will slowly decrease. At the same time, new contradictions will appear. It is very important to know how to use and convert these contradictions. We will talk about this problem in a few classes. Let's stop here for today. One last thing. The problem of governance is definitely not solved overnight. It is always changing according to the needs of the ruling class and the ruled class. Class dismissed. When Wang Wan's voice sounded, the class was over. The students all stood up with a whoosh. There were both men and women, and all of them had good temperaments. Li Longji knew that Wang Wan saw him, so she stopped talking. After listening to a few sentences, he felt that it was very good. When he carefully looked at the students, he was stunned. Previously, he thought that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo had found a talent to teach. In the end, other than those who were too young and couldn't come back, the rest of the princes and princesses were all here. For a moment, Li Longji felt that either he was crazy, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were crazy. In any case, someone had to be crazy. Otherwise, what would he see in front of him? Li Hong swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He really couldn't understand why Wang Wan was teaching the other siblings about governance. In the past, this was something that they pondered on themselves, or listened to the guidance of their elders. But now, Wang Wan was actually speaking about it openly, and carefully analyzing a kind of knowledge that could only be understood, but not taught. The princess was already married, so why was she teaching them this? The students in the classroom also saw the people outside the window. They were too focused on listening just now, so they didn't notice. All kinds of greetings sounded, and Li Hong also enjoyed the glory of being the crown prince. Li Longji waved his hand outside, and the students and teachers came out and greeted him again. Let's go back first for today, Li Longji instructed his children. He couldn't say anything else. After all, it was Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan who asked him to come. The princes and princesses left one after another. When they walked a little further away, they were still discussing the contents of today's class. Li Longji faintly heard them, but pretended not to know. He looked at Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao, who was beside her, and waited for an explanation. Li Hong also wanted to know what the purpose of these two's actions was. They couldn't be supporting a group of crown princes, right? Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao symbolically patted the chalk dust off his hands and said with a smile, "Your Majesty, the crown prince and adoptive father, have you all eaten?" Chapter 1156. Not yet. Li Longji immediately calmed down. He did not immediately question why Zhang Xiaobao had taught the princes and princesses so much knowledge that they should not have learned. After all, the princesses were not involved in the administration of government. "Let's eat together?" Zhang Xiaobao tentatively invited. "What do you think? Do we have to go back for a meal?" Li Longji glared. Okay. Today we'll eat northern cuisine. Why don't we make a new type of Sichuan cuisine?" Zhang Xiaobao began to consider the specifics. Li Longji did not speak. Li Hong asked, "What's that?" "Total numbing and spicy," Zhang Xiaobao replied. "Isn't numbing and spicy a dish from northern Hebei province? Is that where your officials?" Li Hong was surprised. Zhang Xiaobao shook his head. "How can numbing and spicy be brought to the northeast? The northeast should mainly be stewed and dried vegetables. Due to the living conditions, the seeds brought back from outside do not grow well in the northeast. I'm talking about the numbing and spicy seeds. Only places with damp and hazy weather should eat numbing and spicy. Your Highness will know when the seeds multiply." For a moment, Zhang Xiaobao could not explain to Li Hong. The choice of dishes was greatly affected by the region. "Okay, let's try it." Li Hong made the decision. He had never eaten a full plate of numbing and spicy dishes before. Li Longji had some understanding of the situation. The various crop seeds transported from northern Hebei province to the capital were being sent to various places in the Great Tang to be tested and grafted and improved. At the same time, the crops south of the Yellow River and Yangtze River were also sent to the north for improvement. For example, oranges. It was said that oranges in Huainan were oranges, and oranges in Huainan were oranges. They had already told the world that oranges in Huainan were not good. But the Sitong still insisted on sending oranges to various places to try and cultivate varieties suitable for local cultivation. The current chili could only be described in one word: spicy. There were no large and not very spicy chili peppers that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo had described. This was all because the Sitong and Bohai Commander-in-Chief's office had failed to graft the seeds. After the meal, everyone was sweating profusely. Li Hong basically had half a stomach full of food and half a stomach full of water. He drank a mouthful of water after eating a mouthful of food. Li Longji also experienced Zhang Xiaobao's cooking skills for the first time. It was completely different from the spicy food Zhang Xiaobao had eaten on his way out. Xiaobao, can the people of Sichuan really eat it every day? Yes, after we plant them on a large scale. You can't stop them from eating it. The Sichuan wine is spicy, and the Jiangnan wine is gentle. Everyone knows how comfortable it is after eating it. It's a natural choice for survival, and it's irreversible. Just like the people in politics, water can float a boat, but it can also capsize it. We know that we don't need you to teach us in this aspect. You should continue to teach the princes and princesses. Teach them the way of a ruler, and then establish themselves as vassals. When you have nothing to do, you can fight with each other and treat it as training your soldiers. Li Longji followed the topic to the purpose of his visit today. He wanted to let Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan see what they were teaching. Zhang Xiaobao naturally wouldn't admit it. How can they become vassals? They don't have military power. Cuckoo. And I just want to take back the local revenue in their hands. In the future, there will be more and more local revenue. If we continue to give it to them, the development of their land will definitely be the worst. If we directly refuse, Your Majesty as a father will have to bear the risk of being criticized by the people, saying that you don't empathize with your children and make their lives difficult. Thus, it's better to let them take the initiative to hand it over, and then return it to them. What's the difference? Hand it over and return it? Do you think we have nothing better to do? We don't understand. How can their land's revenue be poor? Would it be better to hand it over and return it to them? Li Longji listened to Zhang Xiaobao talk in circles, and returned to the starting point. He calmly asked, waiting for Zhang Xiaobao to give an explanation. Li Hong was also waiting. He also wanted to know Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's plan. Did they really want to nurture many vassals and then compete with him? No, with the future emperor? His position as the crown prince didn't seem to be secure enough. Zhang Xiaobao glanced at Wang Wan. Seeing that Wang Wan had no intention of explaining, he could only speak up himself. Your Majesty, you have many children, so you have many fiefs. Princes are conferred titles, but your actions are mostly in name, but not in reality. There are very few capable people. Why? Because. Speak properly. We know you're the top scorer. Don't talk nonsense. Li Longji had also learned many new words. Actually, Your Majesty is using the revenue of the Great Tang to support a group of idlers. When they realize that they are of no use, they think about playing all day long. If they play well, they will become more hedonistic, and you will be more at ease. These kinds of people can't fight for power. The princes that you sent out were basically only nominal in their local areas. Less than 1 out of 10 of them could do big things. When the people in the fief that they were given saw that their income was given to them in the end, the local officials had no motivation to do anything. They haven't learned much about governance. When they see that other places have more money than their fiefs, the only way is to exploit them. The more they exploit, the worse the local economy will become. In the end, it will become a vicious cycle. Zhang Xiaobao paused here to give Li Longji time to think. He believed that Li Longji was smart enough to understand. Li Longji didn't think for too long. He nodded and said, "Continue. Speed up." Li Hong finally realized that his imperial father wasn't as serious as he thought. When facing Zhang Xiaobao and his family, he could say anything. What was speed? Was it fast or slow? If he said this in Hanyuan Palace, half of the officials would immediately fall over. Zhang Xiaobao didn't consider Li Hong's feelings and continued. If you teach them more knowledge, they will naturally pay attention. Those who have some thoughts about a certain position will be able to use this opportunity to directly express it. When the time comes, Your Majesty can discuss with them and take back their fiefs. Then, you can arrange for them to be in various administrative positions. Just like in a game of Monopoly, you can set down rules and let them compare with each other. They can publish their own administrative policies in the newspapers, or even attack the administrative methods of others. In the end, there will definitely be many excellent administrative methods that will be included in the textbooks. There will also be many failures that will be included in the textbooks for future generations to compare. Cuckoo and I will teach them for another 3 months. After that, we will go to the north to train the soldiers. If they want to learn more, they can only learn from the books or figure it out themselves. Presumably, the Great Tang will be very lively next year. Very chaotic, right? Li Longji said as he narrowed his eyes and began to think. Li Hong quietly came to Zhang Xiaobao's side and asked softly, What about me? What he meant was that while others had things to do, he couldn't run to a certain place to administer. Wouldn't that make him an idle person? Next year, when the soldiers are training, His Majesty will often go out to various places to patrol. If the battles are going well, His Majesty will personally go out to fight. You will continue to supervise the country. When His Majesty is in the capital, you will go out to patrol. Now that the national treasury has plenty of money, you won't lack this expense. If it really doesn't work out, I can pay for it. Zhang Xiaobao also said softly. Li Hong was happy. Supervising the country was good. Even if it was only temporarily exercising power, it was still satisfying. Going out to patrol was also a good choice. Who didn't want to play? In the past, the Crown Prince of the Eastern Palace wanted to go sightseeing all over the Great Tang. But it was a dream. Won't it be that after playing for too long, you will forget about proper business? Li Hong was slightly worried. No, when you see the lives of the people, whether it is tears or smiles, you will be more determined to let them live a better life. This is a good country, shouldn't we cherish it and have it? Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand, seemingly including the entire country. Li Hong nodded fiercely. That's right. You will be able to see more things outside. And the country is very good. It will be hard on you all to go out to war. It's fine. We will have to fight in the end. If we don't get beaten up, we will beat up others. When the day comes that there is no more fighting in the world, it means that all species have died out, including flowers and trees, Zhang Xiaobao sighed. While Zhang Xiaobao and Li Hong were muttering to each other, Li Longji suddenly spoke up, giving Li Hong a fright. Gao Lisher played along and asked, Your Majesty, what do you understand? We know why Xiaobao and Cuckoo chose this time. Why? Gao Lisher continued to play along. They are afraid that the princes and princesses will interfere with them, while they are conscripting resources from the various fiefdoms. Back then, they were training their troops in the north, and were unable to free themselves, and it was difficult for them to deal with other people's identities. But now it is different. We have given them benefits, and given them something to do, and they will be rewarded for their achievements. Naturally, all of them will have to cooperate with Xiaobao and Cuckoo. Providing military supplies is also a form of achievement. Li Longji said proudly. Gao Lisher pondered for a moment before nodding. Your Majesty is wise. Xiaobao, we didn't say anything wrong, right? Am I right? Li Longji asked Zhang Xiaobao with a smile. Your Majesty is wise. Zhang Xiaobao repeated his godfather's words. But hearing him admit it so readily, Li Longji's confidence was shaken. No, wait, let us think about it. Li Longji narrowed his eyes. Zhang Xiaobao shrugged and looked at Wang Wan. Wang Wan returned a smiling expression. Chapter 1157. In the end, Li Longji couldn't think of any other schemes. He drank 2 pots of Westlake Longjing tea and packed 2 jin of Junshan silver needles before leaving with Li Hong. When he saw Xiao Bei in the courtyard, who was still playing with the children, he greeted her. Then he pondered for a moment about what he could use to create hot air. After asking Zhang Xiaobao, he found out that it was a temporary combination of an electric heater and an electric fan. He ordered Gao Lisher to make a note of it and make one the next day. Then he rode the imperial carriage back to the palace. Zhang Xiaobao picked up a child who ran over and gave him a kiss. Then he followed Wang Wan back to the back to work on the textbooks. Let's take it slow. First, let the princes and princesses participate in politics. If they can't think of something, they'll have to ask others. After all, they can't ask everyone from the same class. That way, they won't be able to do a good job. After forming a habit, Li Hong will take over Li Longji's position, and Li Jun will take over Li Hong's position. Then a brand new political structure will be formed. At that time, we'll be old, and our juniors will have a chance to participate as well. We'll form a new distribution system of interest groups and restrict each other. At the same time, we'll be scheming against other countries to protect our own interests. At that time, we'll truly be a country of gentlemen. If there are benefits, we'll take them. If there aren't, we'll withdraw. A gentleman doesn't put himself in danger. Confucius said that a gentleman should have a status, and a country of gentlemen should have a status. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly said to Wang Wan as he was pondering what to write. Wang Wan also stopped writing and smiled. You're cultivating a hegemonic country. Who said that? Whoever dares to say that is opposing the integration of the entire world. Whoever dares to disobey will be hindering the progress and development of mankind. What kind of argument do you support? If you support the integration of the entire world, then you should focus on our great Tang. That's because our technology is the most advanced, and our thinking is the most open. If you don't obey, then great Tang will liberate you and help your people to live a democratic life. If you support the individual interests of your country, then that's fine. Our great Tang also has its own interests, and it's right to beat you up. If you don't obey, then you'll be violating the interests of our dynasty. We'll remove this regime and support a regime that's more friendly to great Tang. Zhang Xiaobao said nonchalantly. After saying that, he also laughed. Nonsense. If we leave in March, what will happen to Xiaobei and the others? Wang Wan did not continue to discuss the matter of right and wrong. Instead, she began to worry about her younger siblings. Follow them and send them back to the capital before the war. First, we have to calculate the autumn harvest season. Before their autumn harvest, we have to take action and knock out those stands. Of course, they don't go by that name now. In the end, we stop at the border of Iran, enlisting the help of the local people to build the railway, refining the oil in their local area, and transporting it back by railway, the first unit to reach here. Russia to the north was not occupied first. After all, they did not have many people, and the weather was still cold. After the first step is done, we will come back and do economic construction. At the same time, we will use soft means to bring Japan and Silla into the territory of the Great Tang. In 2 years, Japan will be done with, and it will be very easy to deal with it. After that, they sent troops to India. They left Myanmar and Vietnam in the middle, and continued to exploit them through economic means. At the same time, they sent people to North America and South America to continue exploring other places. At that time, Li Longji should know that there is no other powerful country on earth. What do you think he will think? Let me say this first. I don't agree with what you said just now. How can we attack through space? Just take a part of India, and let us have a base after crossing the snow mountains. Otherwise, do you think a religious country is so easy to bully? How tiring is it to travel by land? We have to take a big detour by sea. It's more convenient to go through Myanmar. Wang Wan had different strategic goals. At the same time, she thought of lying to Li Longji. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a moment and agreed. It's indeed not good to attack India directly. In fact, it's very tiring to attack the countries on the other side of the snow mountains. No wonder India is always afraid of the military port China built in Pakistan. It's easy to deal with Li Longji's problem. He won't be able to figure it out in a few years. Do you think the sea is so easy to explore? You can figure it all out just by riding a boat. Who dares to go to the South Pole now? I suddenly thought of something. Let me ask you, which is the greatest man-made waterway in the history of human shipping? Jingheng Grand Canal. We are still working on it. Otherwise, Why are we building so many boats? It's to make up for the inconvenience of land transportation. Wang Wan answered without thinking. Wrong. The Jinghang Grand Canal is only convenient for Tang Empire. Think about it. Where is the furthest place for shipping? Zhang Xiaobao blinked. Suez Canal? That's right. We can come from the Mediterranean Sea and enter the Red Sea directly. Otherwise, we have to take a big detour. It's better to take the land route. Wang Wan immediately thought of this great man-made river. Zhang Xiaobao clapped his hands. That's right. There's another one. The peninsula that extends out from Thailand. It's the one that is blocked by Singapore. Isn't there a very thin place in the middle? Let's build that canal too. That way, we don't have to go through Malacca. That's right. Malay Peninsula. There is a canal there. We helped them build it. They said it's the most advantageous for us in terms of transportation. Why don't you mention Cambodia, Laos and Vietnam? That's right. It's called the Kerala Canal. It will have a huge impact on Indonesia, Malaysia and Singapore. If everyone doesn't go through Malacca, their ports will lose their important transit point. I support you. Let's get the businessmen to build it now. Let's take it slow. Let's dig through the middle first. Let's blow up both sides. Let's see if Indonesia still dares to discriminate against us in the future. Wang Wan thought of such an important canal and waved her fist to express her thoughts. Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. He felt that he was already very radical. He didn't expect Wang Wan to be so angry. That you still want them to rise up? If we don't spend a lot of money on building the canal, how can we count on those small countries? They are already poor. This is the disadvantage of being next to a big country. Take Mexico for example. America's economy is so developed. How poor is Mexico? After a few years, the businessmen will have gone further. They can also build the Suez Canal. Let's not talk about going to the Mediterranean Sea. It's even more convenient to go to England. It's too dangerous to go through the Cape of Good Hope. If we go through the Mediterranean Sea, we will be facing Germany. Where are Austria and Hungary? Fight and fight the Eight-Nation Alliance. Is that what you mean? Wake up first. Write quickly. We only have 3 months. Let's finish our time in China. We can put the issue of occupying Iceland behind us. Then we can fly out of the Milky Way. Wang Wan shook her head and was the first to recover from her thoughts. Zhang Xiaobao sighed and nodded. All right. We don't have a reactor ship yet. Let's not talk about anti-gravity galactic battleships first. We can talk about artificial wormholes and space jumps later. I will give you face and right. Time passed quickly in Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's various fantasies. The new year had come. The people in other places were still lighting oil lamps and candles. They were also fantasizing about being like the people in Chang and enjoying the brightly lit streets one day. Compared to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, they were much more realistic. Li Longji spent a few days leisurely and began to prepare for his appearance in front of the people in the capital on New Year's Eve. Crown Prince Li Hong was also busy. The princes and princesses in the capital temporarily stayed at home and worked hard to study the strategy of governing the country. They had agreed to return their original fiefdoms. After the new year, they could choose a new place to govern personally. Compared to the income of the fiefdom, the most important thing was to be ranked at the top in the competition. The first place could get a trade fleet consisting of 30 large ships. It was said that one could earn 1,000,000 strings of pure profit in just a few months. Even the last place could get a share of the profits. They were allowed to have a large cargo ship go out to sea. It would not be difficult to earn 100,000 strings of pure cash a year. There was also the place they governed. After the economy improved, they could also get a share of the increased financial income. With so many benefits, what fiefdom? Forget it. Bebe and a group of children were also busy. They sent reports to candy houses all over the country and distributed the prepared candy to the children so that they could have a sweet new year. When the firecrackers sounded, the sky above Chang'an was bright. The fragrance of dumplings filled every corner. Chapter 1158. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had just eaten 2 cooked dumplings with their family before midnight. They also had a toast with their grandfather and father. Before they could even greet each other with the New Year's greetings, the palace's decree had arrived. They want us to go to the hibiscus garden? What did they do earlier? Xiao Bei complained. Suddenly, he rolled his eyes and said to little Yuan, who had been accompanying him, "How much do you think we can get from paying them a New Year's greetings?" Little Yuan was still in a daze. Everything seemed to be a mess during the new year. Countless people were moving around in the mansion like a merry-go-round. It was obvious that they were not used to the bustle. When little Yuan heard Xiao Bei's question, he said in a daze, "At least 100 strings of cash. Why are we so worthless? Listen to me when we get there later. Pan, and the others have to pay us a New Year's greeting, right? We'll give them 100,000 strings of cash each. When we pay them a New Year's greeting, who dares to miss this amount?" Xiao Bei decided to use his ultimate trump card. He would first give them money and then receive it. We're not doing business. It's the new year. Everyone should be happy. Unfortunately, little Ji, little Xiang, little Ru, little Yi, and the others are too young. Xiao Hong has just learned to run. I'm worried about whether to fake her ears or not. If we don't do it, she's born without ears, and it's difficult for her to hear. If we do it, will she think that we look down on her because she doesn't have ears? Otherwise, why do we have to give her a pair of ears? If we didn't impulsively accept her as our sister back then, we wouldn't have to worry about this, right? Little Yuan said to Xiao Bei as they walked out with the group. Zhang Feng, who was at the side, added, "It's not impulsive. It's the right decision. Take me, my brother, and brother Zhang Chong for example. Brother Zhang Chong was originally a mountain villager in Luzhou. If our father didn't accept him as his adopted son, how could the mountain villager leave the mountain so easily? My brother and I are foster father's children. The entire Wing province, the ethnic minority, will always be at ease. In fact, my brother and I both know that it doesn't matter who our foster father chooses. It's just that he chose us because we're about the same age. It's our luck. Xiao Hong doesn't have ears, but she's still our sister. She's a member of the Tang's patrol. Who in Tang dares to look down on children with physical defects? Brother and sister have acquiesced to it." "That makes sense." Little Yuan nodded. Most of the time, there was a political purpose behind doing things. Of course, when he first took Hong-er in, he did not think of the political meaning behind it. He just felt that Hong-er was pitiful. She was just missing 2 ears. How could she not have the right to live? Thinking of Hong-er, Xiao Yuan also thought of the registrar, and that woman from back then. He asked, where was the registrar at that time? Where was Hong-er's mother? I don't know. Xiao Bei also remembered. She turned her head to look at the servant girl. It was not easy to be a maidservant. In addition to taking care of the little ancestors, she also had to remember many things, and even help to come up with ideas at critical moments. Any one of the maidservants of the Zhang family and the Wang family could be used as a county magistrate. The registrar has already become a commoner. His family owns a few dozen mu of land. I heard that he is not in good spirits. Occasionally, when he is free, he would mutter about Hong-er. Hong-er's mother is doing business with the families of the 2 young ladies, the young man and the young man. Our family is not in charge of them. It was the young lady who instructed him. She said that if a relative used another relative as a subordinate, it would be an insult to both of them. They must be allowed to act independently. The young master also agreed. They opened a tea shop on Chang'an Street in the capital. The place is quite good. My family put in a lot of effort to arrange for it. Now they sell tea from all over the Great Tang. As long as the young master and young lady get new tea, they will definitely put it in the tea shop to sell. In terms of variety, they have the most variety that ordinary people can drink. They have the most variety. Every month, they earn more than 1,000 strings of coins in net. So much. I'm not saying that they earn too much. I'm saying how can a tea shop make so much profit? Xiao Bei said in surprise. Because their tea is all good tea, the servant girl replied. All right. After tonight, we will go and have a look. Xiaofeng, do you miss home? Brother Zhang Chong has already visited his family when he returned to Luzhou. You haven't been back for a long time. Xiao Bei suddenly thought of this question. She felt that if she was asked to leave her brother and sister for too long, she would miss them very much. Zhang Fang pondered for a moment and said, I miss them, but we have a good life here. I have forgotten what my parents look like. When we go to the north to train the soldiers, let's take a detour. We will go home and have a look. Then, she sighed and said, if we hadn't been paying attention to the precious candy houses in various places, I wouldn't even be able to outline the appearance of my hometown. At that time, the family was probably a kind of transaction, before the compulsory education system and welfare were fully provided in the Great Tang. There were many families who gave their children away. Although it was said to be a gift, it was actually a kind of sale. However, the price was very low. It was just a few eggs or a piece of meat. They didn't even need anything as long as the other party promised not to harm the child. All this was because of poverty. Even my family couldn't refuse such a temptation. Since I gave my children to you, you naturally have to take care of the whole family. My brother and I are the bargaining chips on both sides of the balance. The Great Tang needs the loyalty of my tribe, and my tribe needs the welfare of the Great Tang. But as a bargaining chip, I don't regret it at all. I have a group of brothers and sisters. If I want, I can eat with the emperor of the Great Tang every day. I can let brother Xiao Bao and sister Cuckoo, who are respected by the Great Tang people, hold me. The head of the family should never expect such glory. What I need to think about now is how to face my people in the future. It's very troublesome. Who asked my identity to be different? That's right. I never thought that I would be born with such an identity. It's so scary. I always wanted to live the life of an ordinary child of the Great Tang, but I never succeeded. Haven't we seen the children of other great clans? They are all so arrogant. When we ask them how many eggs a chicken lays, they don't even know how many eggs they lay for a kilogram. What's the point of living like that? According to my brother's story, it's called elite education. Elites mean that they don't know that 7 to 9 eggs is a kilogram. They don't know that a newly opened egg can be counted to 11. My brother and sister are better. They teach us everything from the most basic farming manure to the political struggles of the upper class. That day in my dream, I thought, who am I? I don't seem to have myself. I am one of my brothers and sisters at home, and I have to learn to show my parents. When I am outside, I am a diplomat in charge of all kinds of foreign exchanges. I was born in the Zhang family, and the things I do don't belong to me. This autumn, I saw Lu Zhou picking rice ears during the children's holidays. I helped him pick them up, but he complained that he had to go to school and listen to his parents at home. During the holidays, he also had to help with the farm work. He only had an hour to play by himself every day. From then on, I felt that I was very happy. He could only play for an hour every day. It turns out that I am not the only one who doesn't belong to myself. A few days ago, I thought that many parents work in the day and come back at night to cook and take care of the children. Are they not themselves? Who are they? I can't figure it out. Xiao Bei followed Xiao Fang's words. The more she spoke, the more off-topic she became. In the end, she fell silent. Obviously, philosophy was not suitable for children to ponder, even if they had heard too many stories. The road was unobstructed. The Zhang family and Wang family had this appeal. No matter how many people gathered on the road, as soon as they saw the Zhang family and Wang family's carriages, they would make way. The hearts of the people were aligned. There was no need to honk. Those who lost the hearts of the people walked away with bayonets. Some people threw eggs and hid after throwing one. Even the guards were very relaxed. When passing by, the people would help to watch both sides. No one could think of rushing up. If someone really wanted to complain, they could just go to the Zhang family and Wang family. At this time, if they rushed over, the reason for complaining was too lousy, and no one would believe them. By the time they arrived at Hibiscus Garden, it was already 4 in the morning. Their ears were buzzing with the sound of firecrackers. The stage set up in Hibiscus Garden reverberated with a pop song written by an unknown composer. After a while, the firecrackers in Hibiscus Garden stopped. Xiao Bei removed the hand covering his ears and said gloomily, I was wondering why the noise was so loud. It turns out it was specially set off for us. Uncle Emperor really has nothing better to do. Let's see how much New Year's money he gave me. Humph. Zhang Xiaobao was also shocked to the point that his eyes were spinning. The power of the gunpowder was obvious. He walked forward to pull his younger brother and sister. Brother, let me ask you something. Xiao Bei reached out his hand for his brother to pull. He said, do you think you are yourself? You live for yourself, don't you? Are you tired? Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. Beside him, Wang Wan was also stunned. At the same time, the two of them were a little worried. This was because many people who committed suicide had such thoughts. They thought that the process of life was too simple. They thought that they had seen through everything, and that life and death were no longer important. Stopping, Zhang Xiaobao pretended to think. After a while he said, I am tired. Many times, I feel that my existence is meaningless. I wear a hypocritical mask all day long and say things that I don't mean. Sometimes, I even want to end my life. That day I had a dream. I had a dream that I was going to die. Then, I realized that many people were crying. You guys were crying, our parents were crying, and even His Majesty was crying. Then it spread to the entire Tang Empire. At that time, the Tang Empire seemed to have lost its soul, and was filled with sorrow. I didn't understand. I was the only one who died. What did it have to do with other people? Then the sound of chains rang out. I saw Oxhead and Horseface. The two people were crying. Their throats were hoarse from crying. I was puzzled. I told the two of them that we met again. That I seemed to have seen them before. It's been too long, so I can't remember. I said, what's wrong with the two of you? Are you sick? You have to be treated. It can't be delayed. The two of them immediately knelt down and hit the ground with their heads. Oxhead spoke first. Why are you here again? Didn't you promise last time that you wouldn't torment us for 100 years? What right do you have to go back on your word? I said, there's no meaning in living. I might as well die. Horseface followed. How is there no meaning in living? Look at how many people are crying when you die. So many people need you. You're stronger than Oxhead and me. No one wants to see us. You're so lucky, do you know that? I said that's not what I meant. What I meant was that I'm too tired from living. I don't have time for myself. I can't even rest. I might as well die. If you guys don't disturb me, I'll be happier. You're the one who's disturbing us, okay? You don't intend to let the underworld have peace. No one does that, you know? Even ghosts have to be reasonable. If you're tired, why don't you just ignore others and find a quiet place to fish, touch the prawns, plant some crops, and make some flowers? Won't you feel less tired then? This was what Oxhead said. At first, I thought it made sense. Then, I thought that's not right. No one knows me anymore. What's the point of me living? So I said no. Others have to know me. Then the two of them came up with an idea. They said it's simple. Print what you do in the newspaper every day and show it to everyone. But they can't disturb you after reading it. Just like that, I agreed. I listened to the two of them and returned to the living world. Another 3 days passed. I was really annoyed. Although they told others about me, they didn't give me any feedback. Did they treat me like I was invisible? I don't want to live anymore. Everyone doesn't care about me. What's the point of me living? So brother, you saw Oxhead and Horseface again. They knelt down in front of you again, right? They're quite tenacious. If I were them, I would have wanted to die. You're too much of a torment. Before Zhang Xiaobao could finish, Zhang Xiaobao had already thought of the answer. Okay, I get it. Actually, I'm not living for myself. If I were to live for myself, I wouldn't be able to live. I need others to acknowledge me. I also need to see my decision change the lives of others. Why? You have to see who I am first. Who am I? I'm Zhang Xiaobao. My existence is a symbol. My name will definitely become a legend. The kind that Oxhead and Horseface will tremble when they hear it. Let's go. Let's make others tremble first. Let's go get some red packets. If anyone dares to give less today, I'll have to listen to their family's welfare after the new year. Zhang Xiaobao waved his hand and strode towards Li Longji. Behind him was a group of children who would become legends. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. As it's the primary source of revenue, that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.